My beloved child, stop right where you are. Do not scroll past this. Do not silence this moment, because you are about to hear something that others ignored, and that decision cost them everything. But you have been given a second chance. This is not just a message on a screen. This is a divine intervention. I have seen the crossroads you are standing at. I have felt the tension tightening in your chest and heard the whispers you have tried so hard to ignore. I had to interrupt your scrolling because this is the turning point, the very moment that separates regret from release. Do not click away. Do not minimize what I am about to say. I need your full focus because your soul depends on it. Watch this until the very end, because I am not just revealing what others got wrong, I am showing you exactly how to get it right. If this interruption landed on you, pause now, breathe, and type "I'm here" in the comments or tap the like so I know this reached your heart. What is coming next is heavy. It is holy. It is not optional. And if you walk away now, do not say, "I did not try to warn you." My child, before you take another step, I must speak to you with urgency. What you are about to face is not just another test. It is a moment where history can either repeat itself or be rewritten through your obedience. I need you to pause right now and lean in with the ears of your spirit wide open. This is not a casual warning. It is a divine redirection, written with fire and sealed in the ink of my mercy. You are standing at a familiar crossroad, one that generations before you have faced, a place where decisions are disguised as delays and distractions come clothed in false peace. I tell you now, beloved, do not make the same mistake they did. Many before you stood right here and felt exactly what you feel now, the tension between what is easy and what is eternal. I watched them waver between what seemed wise to the world and what I whispered to their hearts. I offered them my hand, but they reached for the applause of men. I called to them through the silence, through the stillness, through that strange dissonance that said, "Wait." But they rushed it. They moved without me. And what followed was not punishment. It was a consequence of misalignment. Their hearts wanted fulfillment, but their feet ran ahead of my timing. And now here you are, standing in the same spiritual intersection. But this time, I am placing myself directly in your path. You have felt it, haven't you? That ache inside your chest, that flicker of unrest, when everything around you seems fine on the surface, yet your spirit simply will not settle. That is me. That is not anxiety. That is not indecision. That is my spirit, sounding the alarm before your next move. I am speaking with a weight that cannot be ignored. I have disrupted your rhythm, stirred your atmosphere, and silenced the noise around you, because what I am about to say holds eternal consequence. I am not giving you this word to scare you, but to save you. Because, my love, if you take one step without me, if you choose what looks safe over what I have declared sacred, you will step into a pattern I never wrote for you. I have seen the loop that others fell into. I watched them cycle through years of confusion, trying to repair what could have been avoided with a single moment of surrender. They did not know how close they were to the release. They mistook my silence for absence and my delay for rejection. But I was never punishing them. I was preparing them. Still, they moved, and the moment they did, they broke the sequence. Do not do it. Stay with me, even if it feels still, even if no one else understands, especially then. Listen, closely. I did not lead you here to tease you with the idea of breakthrough. I brought you here to offer you the reality of alignment, the kind of alignment that shifts timelines and rewrites family histories. What you do next carries weight, not just for your future, but for every heart connected to yours. You are not just choosing for yourself. You are breaking or continuing a pattern that has echoed for generations. And I, your God, am extending my hand not just in guidance, but in deliverance. I will walk you through this crossroad if you trust me, but I cannot force your feet to stay. The choice belongs to you. If you want to stay connected to this kind of guidance, hit subscribe, follow now, so you won't miss the next word I have for you. Just know this, I am not absent. I am not distant. I am right here, whispering with power, pleading with tenderness. Do not make the same mistake they did. Their decision cost them years. Yours can redeem what they lost. Let me guide you through this, not later, but now. I have seen this path before. Others walked it with good intentions, but they leaned on logic instead of my voice, and the weight of their own understanding became the trap. My beloved, listen, and I mean listen with your whole being, not just your ears, because what I am saying right now is not surface truth. It is the kind of truth that pierces bone and marrow, that writes stories and reroutes destinies. You are standing in a moment that feels eerily familiar to your spirit, not because you have been here before in this life, but because your lineage has. I watched your parents, your mentors, your leaders, your friends. I watched them come to this very place. With hearts full of hope and heads full of plans, they set out to walk a path I never paved. And they did not do it out of rebellion. They did it out of reason. They looked at the circumstances and said, "This makes sense." But beloved, my will is not always logical. It is often layered in mystery, wrapped in obedience, and released only through surrender. The moment they chose logic over leading, the moment they prioritized pattern over presence, they stepped into the snare of self-reliance. I had to watch them wander, not because I wanted them to, but because free will means I will never force what only faith can fulfill. And now I see the same temptation rising around you. I hear the voices offering advice that sounds wise but lacks wonder. I see the plans being formed on paper without prayer. And I hear your own thoughts circling, swirling, spiraling, trying to construct clarity through human comprehension. But my ways are not your ways. My blueprint is not bound by budgets or calendars, and I am not asking for your agreement with logic. I am asking for your alignment with lordship. They made the mistake of trusting what they could see. Do not do the same. Sight can lie when it is filtered through fear. Vision must be born of faith. This path ahead, it will not open through intellect. It will unlock only through intimacy. Close, lean in. Let my whisper become your wisdom, because I know what is ahead. And if you let me lead, you will walk where others fell. Let me tell you what happened when they leaned on logic. They settled for good when I had destined them for glory. They circled mountains that could have been conquered. They invested in moments I never mandated. And yes, they built things. They built careers, relationships, reputations, but they also built barriers. They built walls so thick with self-protection that my spirit could barely penetrate. They became successful in the world's eyes, but starved in the secret place. And I wept. I wept because I had so much more for them. I had intimacy over influence. I had depth over display. I had legacy over likes. But they traded the divine for the doable, the miraculous for the manageable. Do not make that trade. I am not calling you to copy their steps. I am calling you to correct the cycle. And you correct it not by perfection, but by posture. A posture of dependence, of listening, of lingering long enough to hear me whisper what the world cannot understand. This is the moment that decides whether you will carry the consequence of their choices or birth a completely new blueprint. But it starts with surrender. Not once, but daily, deeply, desperately. Every decision must be filtered through the question, did I hear God, or did I just agree with logic? Do not repeat the loop. Do not build another tower that looks impressive, but lacks intimacy. Stay low. Stay close. Stay yielded. Because I am not giving you a recycled vision, I am giving you revelation that no eye has seen and no ear has heard. But you cannot receive it if you are still trying to make it make sense. Step out of logic. Step into leading. And I will walk you through every unknown with the kind of peace that logic can never produce. You have asked for clarity, and this is it. Do not follow the crowd just because their steps seem confident. Many were loud in their decisions, but quiet in their prayers. Let me speak this plainly, because too many before you got lost in the noise of popularity and never made it back to the stillness of my presence. You have asked for signs. You have pleaded for confirmation. You have waited for someone to say something that aligns with your spirit. And I am telling you now, this is it. I am giving you clarity wrapped in confrontation. Because clarity that does not challenge is comfort, not conviction. And I love you too much to leave you in the illusion of someone else's confidence. You see the way they walk, bold, boastful, sure of their steps. But you did not hear their prayer closet because it was empty. You did not feel the absence of my presence in their decisions because they never invited me in. They move fast because they are fueled by the fear of missing out, not by faith. And what appears as momentum is often just noise dressed up as movement. Do not be fooled, beloved. The crowd is loud, but I am not in the crowd. I have never led through consensus. I have always called my chosen ones away from the masses, into moments of mystery. Think of Abraham. I called him out from everything familiar. Think of Moses. I led him to the backside of the wilderness. Think of Elijah. I spoke not in the wind, the fire, or the earthquake, but in a still small voice. That is where I am. I am in the quiet place, and many miss me because they are addicted to noise. But not you. You have felt the ache for more. You felt the dissonance when others celebrate decisions that your spirit cannot agree with. That is not judgment. That is discernment. That is me. I am training your ears to recognize my voice, even when it whispers against the wind of the world's opinion. The truth is, many look confident because they have convinced themselves that success equals approval. But I do not measure obedience by outward results. I measure it by inner surrender. Did they ask me before they moved? Did they wait long enough for me to speak? Or did they use my name to bless plans I never birthed? These are the questions I am asking of this generation. And I am asking them of you because you are not called to copy what they built. You are called to construct what has never been seen. And that means you must hear what others have missed. You must value my voice over volume, my leading over likes, my presence over platforms. So I ask you now, will you stay with me when the crowd moves on? Will you trust me even when your path looks slower, smaller, or stranger? Because it will. But that's how you know it is me. I do not call you to blend in. I call you to break through. And what I am building in you requires courage. Not the courage to speak louder, but to listen deeper. Do not follow noise. Follow nearness. Because where I am leading you, only intimacy will keep you grounded. Do not make the same mistake they did. They traded prayer for popularity. They ran with the crowd, but lost their crown. You are not them. You are chosen, marked, set apart. Stay close. I am whispering the blueprints now, and only those tuned in will be able to build what I have ordained. Some started strong, full of fire and purpose, but they grew weary when answers delayed. Instead of waiting, they wandered. Do not do the same. I watched it happen again and again. They burned with boldness in the beginning. Their mouths declared trust. Their hands were lifted high. Their prayers were loud, passionate, beautiful. They sang songs of surrender and quoted scriptures of destiny. But when my answer did not come wrapped in the speed of their timeline, they unraveled so silently, subtly, not all at once, but in layers. They said they trusted my timing, but their feet told another story. Their steps started drifting, not away from me entirely, but just far enough to feel like progress without presence. They did not reject me with their words, but they replaced me with alternatives that moved faster. They thought movement was success, but all they found was exhaustion. Because the moment you leave the pace of my spirit, you start walking in circles disguised as progress. Beloved, do not do the same. Do not mistake delay for denial. Do not let unanswered prayers convince you that I am uninterested. I do not delay to torture. I delay to develop. I am not withholding because I am distant. I am orchestrating because I am wise. If you saw what I saw, if you knew what stood on the other side of the door you were trying to pry open, you would fall to your knees in gratitude that I said, "Not yet." If you need a prayer right now, comment "pray," or use the prayer link in the description, and we will stand with you. I am protecting you from the premature. I am guarding your future from collapse. I am shielding your soul from counterfeit versions of the very thing you asked me for. You prayed for purpose. I will not give it without preparation. You asked for favor. I will not hand it over without fortifying your character to carry it. What feels like delay is actually divine design. I do nothing without purpose. My silence is not absence, it is strategy, cloaked in sovereignty. I want you to understand something that many before you did not grasp. Waiting is not passive. It is war. It is the battleground where faith is forged. And I have been watching you in that war. I have seen the days when your heart grew heavy. I felt your questions, aching, honest, raw. God, did you forget me? God, why hasn't it happened yet? God, am I missing something? No, child, you are not missing anything. You are exactly where I want you. Hidden, being held, being owned. You are not behind, you are being built. What you call delay, I call depth. And what you thought was a detour is actually a divine setup for something greater than your current vision can contain. The enemy wants you to wonder. He wants you to do what others did, to grow tired, to let go, to seek shortcuts. But I have placed my spirit within you to withstand the weariness. You do not have to move without me. You can rest in the rhythm of my faithfulness. Let me be your reminder. Every promise still stands. Every word I have spoken over your life is still in motion. And if you stay, if you remain rooted when everything around you says run, you will see the reward. You will step into what others forfeited because they walked away too soon. Do not forfeit the finish line because the path is longer than expected. There is strength in stillness. There is power in patience, and there is glory in the grind of waiting. I see you. I am with you, and I will not let you miss your moment. You stay. Wait, hold my hand, not the clock, and I will make the waiting worth every tear, every question, every sleepless night. I promise. Do not mistake delay for denial. Others grew impatient and opened doors I never set, and the cost was their peace. Their calling grew tangled in consequences they could have avoided. Come closer, child. I need to speak this clearly, so it sinks deeper than the noise of your surroundings, because what I am about to reveal isn't light. It carries weighty, sobering, healing weight. I have seen many go before you who couldn't wait. They carried promises. They held vision, yes, but they refused to protect their patience. And because they equated speed with success, they opened doors I never assigned. They rushed into relationships I didn't bless. They said yes to platforms I didn't build. They walked into rooms before their character was ready to carry the atmosphere. And what followed wasn't the fulfillment they were hoping for. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. It was confusion, stress, compromise, a counterfeit version of purpose that looked like blessing, but cost them their peace. Dear me, I am not angry at them. I wept for them because I had so much better prepared. I wasn't trying to withhold joy. I was guarding the joy I designed. I wasn't punishing them with delay. I was shielding them from disaster. But they ran ahead, and my voice, though still faithful, was drowned out by the noise of their own momentum. They said they were walking by faith, but they were actually walking by fear, disguised as urgency. They couldn't bear the discomfort of not knowing. So they moved and paid dearly for that decision. Their calling didn't vanish. I do not revoke what I have spoken, but their path became longer, heavier, tangled in complications I never authored. And now I am telling you, do not do the same. Do not trade your peace for progress. Do not open every door that seems available. Every open door is not divine, and every opportunity is not ordained. Sometimes the enemy opens doors too. Wide, shiny, fast, but poison at the root. And you, my child, you carry too much promise to drink from that cup. Your destiny is too sacred to gamble with counterfeit timing. The delay you are feeling? It is not denial. It is design. It is me stretching the borders of your spirit so you can contain the weight of the glory that is coming. It is me pulling back layers of performance and fear, so your yes isn't just external, it is eternal. I am not slow to fulfill my promises, as some count slowness. I am patient, I am precise, I am perfecting what I have prepared for you. So do not touch what I haven't handed you yet. Do not force what I haven't favored. What I give, I guard. What I speak, I sustain. But what you grab without me, you will carry without grace. Let this truth settle in your soul. Peace is the proof of my presence. When it is me, you won't have to strive. When it is me, you won't have to pretend. When it is me, it will fit your spirit, not just your schedule. So, hold your ground. Do not rush just to feel productive. Do not settle just to silence the waiting. I am not late. I am layering my timing with wisdom, mercy, and maturity. And when it is time, you won't have to open the door. It will swing wide in front of you. You won't have to chase the promise. It will locate you. But until then, do not confuse delay with rejection. I am not saying no. I am saying not yet, and the difference could save your calling. Trust me, I am never slow. I am only saving you from what looks good too soon. You won't regret waiting, but you might regret wandering. Stay with me. I am still writing. I am speaking now because I see your heart teetering between persistence and pressure. Do not choose what is easy over what is eternal. Yes, child, I see you. You have stood long enough in this silent battle, pretending you are fine, while secretly wondering which voice to follow. One whispers, "Hold on," while the other hisses, "Hurry up." One invites you into the fire of refinement, while the other tempts you with relief, dressed as resolution. I have seen you on the edge, not just of decision, but of identity. This is more than a choice. This is a collision between heaven's dream for your life and hell's distraction to derail it. I won't stay silent while you are standing there, because I know what you are carrying. I know the weight you hide beneath the smile. I know the temptation to retreat, to grab what is reachable, rather than wait for what is right. But child, hear me. Ease is not evidence of alignment, and comfort is not confirmation of calling. The path of purpose for you is not always paved with popularity, applause, or predictability, but it is sacred. It is sealed. It is saturated with my presence. Many before you chose what was convenient over what was consecrated. They couldn't wait in the womb of my silence, so they birthed movements I never blessed. They got tired of being unseen, so they traded glory for visibility, traded purpose for performance, traded trust for temporary peace. The enemy wrapped it all in glitter and grace-like language, but it was never me. It looked like open doors, but it felt like pressure. It looked like answered prayers, but it stripped their peace. And now I speak to you with love burning in my voice. Do not fall for the same false finish lines. Do not choose the easier path, just because the eternal one is longer. Do not give up what is divine for what is fast. You weren't made to fit inside the world's timeline. You weren't designed to bloom by pressure, but by presence, my rhythm, my whisper. Child, when I say I see your heart teetering, I mean it. You are right there, the sacred in-between. You haven't let go, but you are wondering if holding on still matters. You are tired, not because you are weak, but because what I placed on your life is weighty. Holy calling carries holy cost. But do not let pressure persuade you that the promise was a mistake. I never promised the path would be easy. I promised it would be worth it. I never said the fire wouldn't burn. I said you wouldn't be alone in it. I have walked with you through silent rooms, wept with you through unspoken agony, guarded your heart in the waiting seasons where no one saw the cost. And I tell you, every second mattered. Every moment where you stayed instead of strayed. Every yes when it would have been easier to say no. Every act of obedience when you had no outcome in sight. I saw it all, and it is adding up. It is breaking barriers. It is moving heaven on your behalf. So do not lean into pressure. Do not try to impress the ones who never heard my voice over you. Do not prove your obedience with performance. Prove it with presence. Today, listen. Trust. I know it is tight. I know it is quiet. I know it feels like others are sprinting while you are stuck. but they are not walking with me. You are. And walking with me may feel slow, but it is sure. It is safe. It is sovereign. I have never led anyone into ruin. I have never abandoned anyone in the middle. And I am not about to start with you. So, child, I am saying it as clear as I can. Do not choose what is easy over what is eternal, because what I am building in you will last forever. I watched others settle for less because fear convinced them they were asking for too much. But what they feared was not the size of the promise, it was the size of their faith. Let me take you back. Not just years, but generations. I have seen it through centuries of surrendered souls who stood at the edge of divine inheritance and pulled back. Not because I failed them, not because they lacked promise, but because they feared their own inadequacy more than they trusted my sufficiency. They prayed for the impossible and then ran from the price of carrying it. Fear whispered, "It is too much." And instead of confronting that fear with faith, they shrunk the promise to fit their comfort zone. They exchanged legacy for limitation. They asked me for rain and then panicked at the storm clouds. They wanted miracles, but feared the unknown conditions I used to deliver them. And I say this not to shame them, but to awaken you, because you are beginning to feel the same tremor in your spirit. You have asked me for big things. You have laid your dreams at my feet. But now that I am actually aligning the pieces, you are wondering if you are ready for what you requested. But here is the truth you need to hear. I never designed you to do it without me. I never asked you to have enough strength. I asked you to have enough surrender. The enemy wants you to back down now. He wants you to think your desire was foolish, your dreams unrealistic, your vision too much. But I say, what if it is not too much? What if it is just big enough to be worthy of your faith? What if you are not dreaming too boldly, but finally dreaming in alignment with how I see you? Let's break this lie right now. You are not asking for too much. You are asking too little if you believe I am only interested in average. I am not a God of fragments. I do not bless halfway. I do not fill partially. I am not sprinkling survival over your life. I am pouring out of overflow, pressed down, shaken together, running over. But to carry that, you need faith that can stretch. And that means fear must be confronted, not coddled. I am not intimidated by your questions. I am not disappointed by your doubt. But I am calling you to rise above it. I am calling you to match the size of your request with the size of your trust. I want you to believe for the kind of breakthrough that shakes the very rooms where others doubted you. I want you to walk into spaces where your feet have never stood. Because I sent you, not because you schemed your way in. Do not do what they did, child. Do not shrink. Do not play small to make others comfortable. Do not abandon the field of promise, because the first sign of warfare appeared. They feared their own capacity, but forgot about mine. You do not have to earn this. You just have to carry it with humility, with holiness, with hands wide open. I will provide the strength. I will give you the words. I will surround you with what is needed. But I will not let you settle for less. You didn't ask for too much. You asked for exactly what I placed in your spirit. And now I am telling you, go forward. Even if your knees shake, even if your voice trembles, go forward. Because where your faith ends, my power begins. And together, we will break the ceilings they said couldn't be shattered. You are not asking for too much. You are believing for what I have already called. yours. Do not make the mistake of measuring your future by what others failed to carry. Just because they couldn't handle the calling doesn't mean you won't. You need to hear me on this, because what I say next will confront the quiet agreements you have made with fear. You have looked around and seen others falter. You have seen leaders fall. You have seen marriages collapse, dreams delay, anointings dim. And without even realizing it, a seed planted itself in your heart. A whisper that said, if they couldn't do it, maybe I won't either. But child, that voice is not from me. That voice is fear, wearing the face of logic. That voice is the echo of generational patterns, trying to pass themselves off as destiny. And I break that lie now because what others couldn't carry doesn't define what I have placed inside of you. Their failure is not your forecast. Your fall is not your fate. I am writing a new story in your DNA, not a recycled one. Listen to me. You were born for this, not because you are stronger, smarter, or more spiritual, but because you are surrendered. And that surrender has opened doors others never walked through. That surrender has qualified you to carry what broke them. I know the battles they faced. I know the burdens they bore. I wept when they gave up. I wrapped my arms around them when they walked away from what could have been. But I didn't throw away the blueprint. I preserved it. I reserved it for you. And now I am handing it to you. Not to repeat their story, but to redeem it. Not to mimic their journey, but to rewrite the outcome. You, child, are the turning point. You are the line in the sand, the one who walks differently, the one who rises quietly, but carries heaven loudly. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to be willing to trust me beyond what you saw happen to them. You see, your collapse wasn't always about capacity. It was often about connection. Somewhere along the way, they began to operate in calling without staying rooted in communion. They carried the weight of the work without returning to the well of my presence. They didn't fail because they were weak. They failed because they tried to be strong without me. Do not do the same. Stay tethered. Stay teachable. Stay yielded. Let your strength come from stillness. Let your anointing be refreshed in the secret place. Do not compare your timeline with theirs. Do not measure your pace against their progress. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not bound by what they did or didn't do. You are free to walk in what I designed only for you. So when fear tries to replay their story in your mind, speak back. Say, that was their chapter, but my author is still writing. Say, I am not defined by their ending. I am defined by his hand. Because, child, you are not who they were. You are called, carved, and commissioned for such a time as this. I chose you, knowing exactly what you walked through. I chose you, knowing who came before you. I chose you, knowing what they dropped because I knew you'd carry it all the way through. So do not flinch when the enemy reminds you of their failure. Smile and remind him of your future. You were made for this, and I'll be with you every single step. I gave them a promise, and I gave them time. But when the wilderness stretched, they let go of the word and clung to what was convenient. You must not do the same. The wilderness, that stretching, silent, sacred space between promise spoken and promise fulfilled. I know you are in it. I see how it pulls on your resolve. I feel the tension in your chest, the aching for me to move, to act, to do something. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. But I must speak to you now, with a weight I have been waiting to release. because what I am watching in your spirit feels familiar. I have seen this scene before. I gave them a word, rich, radiant, resounding. I declared breakthrough, inheritance, miracles, and they rejoiced for a season. But then the days stretched, the answers delayed. The terrain grew dry, and they began to doubt not just the promise, but me. And child, when they couldn't feel the fire, they settled for a flicker. They crafted counterfeit comforts, made idols of control, and tried to recreate the divine with human hands. They didn't mean to betray me, but convenience became their god. Their timeline became their compass. Their anxiety became their architect. And in that moment, that pivot between pain and patience, they let go of my word and grabbed the nearest distraction. Some called it wisdom, some called it strategy, but I called it surrender to self. And what could have been a short season became a spiritual cycle that took years to break. I gave them time, I gave them grace, but they traded the wilderness for what was easy and missed the wonder I had woven into the waiting. Do not do the same. I know this wilderness feels like a wasteland, but what looks barren is actually blessed. I am stripping what doesn't serve your future. I am silencing what won't support your elevation. I am detoxing your spirit from applause, so that when I speak again, you know it is me, not momentum. The wilderness isn't a curse, it is a classroom. And I am teaching you how to recognize my whisper, not just my works. I am building a backbone of belief that won't collapse when the platform comes. I am rooting your identity so deep in me that when the harvest arrives, it won't carry you away. It will carry you further into me, but only if you stay, only if you don't grab for what is convenient. When my word starts feeling costly, let me remind you what they forgot. I am faithful, even when it feels like I have gone quiet, even when the path gets longer, even when the manna stops falling and the map feels blank. I have not left you. I have not changed my mind. And I am not done. The promise still stands. The word still works. The process is still holy. So do not rewrite the instructions I gave you just because it hurts. Do not start building your own rescue plan when I already wrote the ending. I am not late. I am aligning. I am not indifferent. I am intentional. And the very wilderness that is testing you will become the womb where your next season is born. Hold fast to what I said, even if it feels like the only thing you are holding. When others reach for distractions, you reach for me. When others settle for noise, you settle into my nearness. When others pivot for relief, you press in for revelation. Because what I gave you was not a suggestion. It was a seed. And if you will protect it, water it, wait for it, it will bloom at the appointed time. The wilderness will not last forever, but what I birth in you through it will. Do not chase validation from voices that never heard my whisper over your life. Some missed their moment because they followed the applause of men instead of the direction of my spirit. My beloved, come closer. I need to whisper something sacred into your spirit, something that breaks chains the crowd has placed on your confidence. You have been surrounded by noise, people who mean well, people who speak often, people who offer advice laced in logic but void of revelation. And if you are not careful, their noise will become your navigator. But I did not assign them to author your calling. I did not speak your purpose into their ears. I spoke it into yours. When I whispered your identity into existence, there was no committee present. When I breathed your blueprint into being, there were no votes taken. I didn't ask for opinions. I spoke your name with fire and formed your future with faith. And now I see you battling with a question. What will they think if I step out like this? But child, why are you asking for confirmation from those I never commissioned? There is a danger, a deep deceptive danger, in chasing approval from the wrong places. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Some before you did exactly that. They had a fire in their bones, but they traded it for the favor of men. They watered down their voice to keep their circle. They diluted their obedience to avoid criticism. And it worked for a moment. They gained claps. They gained attention, but they lost clarity. They built ministries, platforms, and images. But I wasn't in it. It looked like success, but felt like starvation, because the applause of people can never feed a soul called into deeper waters. And now I say to you, do not follow the same path. Do not let praise become your prison. Do not let likes become your leash. My spirit leads in stillness, not in spotlight. If you must choose between being understood by people or being aligned with me, choose me every time. Let me ask you something bold. When did their opinion become your permission? Who told you you needed to be palatable to be powerful? Child, I didn't call you to be safe. I called you to be set apart. I didn't place fire in your mouth just so you'd whisper when the crowd leans in. I gave you something holy, something weighty, something costly, and I won't let you prostitute your purpose for popularity. I am not rebuking you. I am asking you, because this is the same trap that has derailed generations. Validation addiction. People pleasing, dressed up as humility. But there is nothing humble about shrinking what I gave you to protect someone else's comfort. And there is nothing holy about waiting for a green light from those I never gave authority over your assignment. So today, right now, I free you from the need to be validated. I deliver you from the cage of needing to be seen, liked, or approved before you obey. The only yes you need, you already have mine. I have already spoken, already chosen, already anointed. You don't need a stage to be significant. You don't need applause to be aligned. Your obedience is your offering, and I receive it with joy. So go forward, not with arrogance, but with assurance. You are not moving with the crowd. You are moving with your Creator. And that, child, is more than enough. You have heard me warn you. Do not make the same mistake they did. Many before you heard my voice, but withheld their obedience even in the small things. But you are different. Right now I am giving you an opportunity to sow into the ground that just fed your soul. When you support this message through Super Thanks, membership, or with the PayPal link below, you are partnering with me to carry my voice to the ones still wandering. This is more than support. It is prophetic oil poured onto the altar of broken hearts worldwide. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. That is not just scripture. It is a now promise from me to you. So act now. Do not hesitate. Go into the description and release your gift, and I will release what is next. If this word moved you, partner with this ministry. Super Thanks, join membership, or give via PayPal in the description. Your gift multiplies this message. I allowed others to walk before you so you could see the result of compromise. Their pain was not for you to judge, but to learn. Let me speak this with tenderness. For what I am about to say is not just revelation. It is restoration. I have allowed you to see things in others that grieved you. You have witnessed collapse. You have seen compromise from those you respected. You have watched once flaming hearts flicker into silence. And you have wondered, why did you let me see that, Lord? Was it to discourage? Was it to disillusion? No, child. It was to disciple you. I showed you what happens when calling collides with complacency. Not so you would gossip, but so you would guard your own path. I let you see their fall so you could strengthen your foundation. Their pain, their detour, their decline. It was never your entertainment. It was your education. I need you to understand this clearly. I don't waste anything, not even the failures of others. Every scar you have seen, every story you have heard, every leader who started strong and ended silently, they became living lessons. And I placed them in your line of sight, not to stain your view of hope, but to seal your heart with wisdom. Because what you saw wasn't just sin. It was the slow erosion of intimacy. You saw the subtle slide from holiness into hustle. It was the drift from dependence into performance. And I needed you to see it, not to fear the fall, but to fight it. I needed you to learn that anointing without alignment leads to agony. That gifting without guarding the heart will always end in grief. And yes, I saw the ache in your spirit when those you once trusted revealed fractures. I saw your disappointment, and I honored it. But I didn't let you see it to destroy your trust in people. I let you see it to deepen your trust in me. Because your eyes have been opened to something deeper. Now you understand that charisma is not a substitute for character. That influence doesn't always mean intimacy, and that not everyone who starts with me stays with me unless they are rooted in me. You have seen the wreckage, now let it fuel your reverence. Let it deepen your desire to stay close, stay soft, stay pure. You are not better than them, but you are aware now, and awareness can become armor. If you let me wrap it in grace, so do not judge them, do not gossip about them, do not become prideful in their fall. Mourn what was lost, learn what was missed, and then guard your own garden. Let their story become your strategy. Let their collapse become your caution. And let their journey make your feet firm. I allowed you to see so that you would never forget. This calling is costly. This walk is sacred. And compromise is not worth the applause it temporarily secures. Stay low. Stay listening. Stay loyal to me, because I am not looking for those who impress the masses. I am looking for those who remain in the secret place, even when no one is watching. You have seen the warning signs. Now walk wisely. I will lead you. They ignored the tug in their spirit, dismissed the unrest in their sleep, and labeled my warnings as hesitation. Do not let comfort deceive you. I tried to reach them. I really did. Before their collapse, before the heartbreak, before the consequences took root, I whispered. I dug. I stirred the waters of their peace because I saw what was ahead. But they mistook my caution for confusion. They called my warning a weakness. And instead of slowing down, they silenced the signal. Do you feel the weight of that? I didn't speak through thunder or fire. I stirred their sleep. I disrupted their routines. I spoke in the subtle, sacred tension that lives between peace and pressure. But they ignored me. And when the door they so badly wanted finally opened, it wasn't what they expected. It glittered, but it grieved them. It looked like favor, but it fractured their soul. That same deception stands before you now, child, and I will not let you step into it unaware. This is why I have been agitating your atmosphere. This is why your usual comforts aren't satisfying you. This is why sleep has been shallow and silence feels loud. It is not anxiety, it is alertness. It is not fear, it is a flare. My spirit is stirring you, because the next door you walk through will determine more than your next season. It will determine your spiritual stamina. If this word struck you, save this message and share it with one person who is on the edge. Your obedience could save them. Don't you see it? I have been warning you, not through panic, but through holy pause. I have unsettled your rhythm to protect your destiny, because deception doesn't always look dark. Sometimes it looks like opportunity. But if I didn't send it, it is a trap. And if you keep moving in the name of progress while ignoring the pain in your peace, you'll find yourself walking toward applause while my presence remains behind you. Let me be even more clear. Comfort is not always confirmation. Some things feel easy because the enemy wants them to. He won't fight you for what won't grow you. He'll offer paths with no resistance if it means keeping you from the road of refinement. But child, I am not trying to punish you. I am trying to preserve you. That restlessness you feel before big decisions, that pause before you say yes, that lingering discomfort in your spirit, even when the circumstances look perfect. That is me. I am the one tugging. I am the one slowing your steps, because I know what is behind that shiny door. And I love you too much to stay silent while you smile your way into sorrow. I am not the God of confusion, but I am the God of caution, and sometimes my no will come in the form of unrest. Will you trust me even when I speak through silence, to listen? Do not explain away the checks in your spirit. Do not override the warning signs. Don't label divine unrest as indecisiveness. That's how they fell. That is how they walked into storms I never designed. And now I am pleading with you, do not let comfort deceive you. The enemy will always offer counterfeit peace just before your true breakthrough is about to arrive. But I have trained your spirit to discern what your eyes can't see. Value that knowing. Let that internal tension lead you back to the secret place, where my voice is clear and your peace is pure. I will never lead you into regret, but you must stop confusing the absence of resistance with my approval. If I am stirring your spirit, it is because I am trying to save your destiny. Listen to the tug. It could change everything. The difference between survival and surrender is thin. One resists my process. The other yields to it. Make no mistake. You were made for surrender, not survival. Let me speak to the war happening within you. The invisible war between holding it all together and handing it all over. You have been fighting silently, haven't you? Smiling publicly while surviving privately. You have learned to press on, to push through, to just keep going. But that survival mode is not sacred. It is not holy. It is not for me. It is the residue of pain and self-protection, not the rhythm of someone who walks with me. I didn't create you to function in fear. I didn't form you to live in performance. I didn't breathe life into you so that you could simply make it. I created you for intimacy, not for endurance. And that tension you feel right now between surviving and surrendering is not just circumstantial, it is spiritual. One path keeps you in control. The other places everything in my hands. And child, you were never designed to carry what surrender was meant to release. Some before you chose survival. They wore it like a badge. They clung to independence, even in the name of wisdom. But what looked like strength was actually a refusal to trust me completely. They quoted scriptures they didn't live. They prayed prayers they never meant to obey, and they called it endurance, but it wasn't. It was fear polished, dressed up, and baptized in the language of faith. But faith without surrender is theater. It is noise without power. And I watched them run until they collapsed, resist until they broke, strive until they no longer recognized my voice. I reached for them. I whispered, "Let go." But survival had become their identity, and they feared that surrender would make them weak. They didn't understand that surrender was a place of strength. They missed the miracle hidden in the posture of release. Now you, child, you stand at that same edge. You have been surviving longer than you care to admit, carrying more than I asked you to, taking on battles I never assigned, managing pain rather than bringing it to me. And I honor your resilience, but I am asking for more than resilience. I am asking for alliance. I am asking you to surrender, not happily, not when it is easy, not just in words, but truly from the inside out. Because what I am about to do in your life cannot rest on shoulders that are bracing for impact. It must rest on hands that are lifted in trust. I am calling you to drop the armor, to stop trying to control outcomes, to stop hiding behind strategy, and finally say, "God, I trust you, even here, even now." You were not made to survive. You were made to abide. You were not made to hold your breath. You were made to inhale grace, to let go. Right now, not out of fear, but out of revelation. There is a version of you that exists only on the other side of surrender, free, filled, favored, and flowing in alignment. And I am waiting to meet you there. When you surrender, heaven rushes in. When you release, I restore. When you yield, I move. Don't make the same mistake they did. Don't live your life proving your strength when I already proved my love. Fall into me and let me carry what has been crushing you. You don't have to fight anymore. You just have to trust. You were made for this, not just to survive, but to live surrendered. Some thought they were protecting themselves by building walls, but in doing so, they blocked my healing. Do not harden your heart just because you have been hurt. I watched them, child. I watched them shut the door, not just on people, but on me. It wasn't all at once. It happened slowly. One betrayal, one disappointment, one unanswered prayer at a time. And with each wound, they made a vow. I won't let that happen again. I'll never trust like that again. I'll protect myself next time. But those vows became bricks. And those bricks became walls. And those walls became prisons, not protection. They thought they were guarding their heart. But what they were doing was sealing it off from my healing presence. They assumed distance was safety, but it became suffocation. They cut off what hurt them, but in doing so, they also cut off what could heal them. And I wept because I never created them to live in isolation, masked as strength. Now I see that same wall beginning to rise in you, a little thicker after each disappointment, a little higher with every unmet expectation. And I understand why you are tired. Tired of hoping, tired of being let down, tired of trusting only to be torn. But child, the answer to heartbreak is not hardness. A cure for disappointment is not detachment. I did not design your heart to be stone. I designed it to feel, to beat with love, to ache with longing, to break, yes, but also to be made whole again. If you let this pain turn you bitter, it will steal the sweetness I planted in you. Do not let your scars become your script. Do not let past pain dictate your present posture. What hurt you is real, but so is the healing I offer. You see, they thought the wall would make them stronger, but what it really did was make them unreachable. And when I tried to speak, to comfort, to restore, they couldn't hear me through the fortress of fear they built around their heart. I couldn't heal what they refused to reveal. They clung to silence, thinking it was safer than surrender. But silence is not peace. It is just pain with the volume turned down. I wanted to go in to touch the tender places, to bandage the bleeding places, but they had locked the door. And child, I am begging you now. Do not do the same. Let me in. Let me touch the part of you that still flinches when someone gets too close. Let me speak to the part of you that pretends you are fine just so no one sees how fragile you have become. I am not like them. I will not hurt you, then walk away. I will not promise healing and leave you bleeding. I am near to the broken-hearted. I bind up their wounds, but I cannot pour into a heart that has chosen hardness over hope. You don't have to keep protecting yourself. I'll protect you. You don't have to keep performing strength. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. Drop the walls, even just a little. Crack open the door, and I'll come in with healing in my wings, with love that doesn't run, with a presence that doesn't punish. You can cry with me, you can break with me, and most of all, you can begin again with me. Do not make the mistake they did. Do not let pain write the rest of your story. Let me rewrite it with redemption, one healed moment at a time. They confused familiarity with faithfulness. They clung to what was known, even when I was calling them into the unknown. You must not let fear of change keep you bound. Do you feel the tug in your spirit? That strange mixture of discomfort and desire. That is me pulling you towards something new. Not because what you had was evil, but because what is ahead is essential. But here is what I need you to understand. When I call you into more, it will often look like less at first. Less clarity, less control, less comfort, because I have to strip you of everything that made you feel secure without me. This is the part that tripped up so many before you. They equated consistency with safety. They called routine obedience. They mistook predictability for peace. But child, faithfulness isn't found in familiarity. Faithfulness is found in following, even when it is foggy, even when it is foreign, even when it is frightening. They meant well. The ones who stayed stuck, they thought staying where they were was loyalty. But they weren't being loyal to me. They were loyal to their comfort. They built lives around patterns I was trying to disrupt. I whispered, "Move." I stirred their rest. I blocked old routes. But instead of seeing it as an invitation, they saw it as instability. And so, they stayed. They shrank. They settled. Not because they lacked calling, but because they feared what a change might cost. And child, let me say this plainly. The cost of change will never be greater than the cost of staying stuck. You cannot evolve in a place you have outgrown, and you cannot obey me while clinging to what I have called you out from. If I said leave, it is because what is ahead carries a harvest too heavy for old soil. Now you are at the crossroads. You know what is comfortable. You know the patterns, the rhythms. Even the dysfunction has become predictable. But deep inside, you feel me calling. Not with a shout, but with a pull. A holy restlessness, a dissatisfaction you can't explain. That is not rebellion. That is revelation. I am revealing that what once was right is no longer aligned. I am showing you that staying would mean surviving, not thriving. I am offering an upgrade in the spirit, but it requires movement. Trust me, not everything familiar is faithful, and not everything new is dangerous. What is dangerous is disobedience disguised as stability. Do not let fear make decisions I have already spoken about. Do not stay where I no longer dwell, just because it is all you have known. So here is my invitation. Let go. Step out. Follow me into the mystery. You don't need all the answers to obey. You don't need a 5-year plan to take the first step. All you need is a yes. A trembling yes is still obedience. And when you say it, when you take that step, I will meet you there with provision, with clarity, with presence. The ones before you stayed when they should have moved. They loved what was known more than they trusted my voice. But you, child, you are different. I am calling you forward not to frighten you, but to free you. Do not confuse fear with discernment. Do not dress comfort up as calling. Follow me. I am already in your next, and it is far greater than what you are leaving behind. They misread my silence as absence, and in doing so, they made decisions in the dark. You must learn to wait, even when the heavens seem quiet. Oh, child, this is where many fell, not in rebellion, but in restlessness. I didn't stop speaking to them. I was still moving, still watching, still present, but my silence unsettled them. The stillness made them squirm. And when they didn't hear me the way they used to, they assumed I was gone. But I wasn't gone. I was drawing them deeper. Silence is not abandonment. It is alignment. It is invitation. It is me calling them into the kind of maturity that doesn't panic in the absence of sound. But they couldn't wait. They couldn't bear the tension. So they started making choices based not on my voice, but on their fear. And those choices cost them dearly. They forgot that I am still God, even when I am quiet. They forgot that some of my greatest works begin in the dark. A seed planted hears nothing, yet it is not dead. A womb carries promise without announcement, yet it is not empty. I don't have to shout to be sovereign. I don't have to speak to be present. But they demanded clarity on their schedule, and when they didn't get it, they acted prematurely. They called it faith, but it was fear wearing a mask. They opened relationships I didn't approve. They took jobs I never assigned. They made moves that looked logical, but lacked my oil because silence to them meant absence, and that misunderstanding unraveled everything. But now you are standing in that same sacred silence. You've been asking, God, where are you? Why aren't you answering? What am I supposed to do now? I have heard it all. Every whispered prayer, every sigh in the night, every frustrated pause between hope and helplessness. But hear me. Just because I haven't spoken yet doesn't mean I am not working. I withhold words not to punish, but to position. When you don't hear me, I am strengthening your ears to recognize me. I am teaching you to walk by trust, not traffic lights. I am deepening your root system so your faith isn't based on feeling, but on me. This silence isn't a rejection. It is a revelation. You are learning how to wait, not passively, but prophetically. You are becoming the kind of believer who doesn't crumble just because the noise stops. So do not do what they did. Do not fill the quiet with counterfeit direction. Do not rush into solutions I never authored just because the answer hasn't arrived. I am not late. I am layering your spirit with wisdom, depth, and resilience. I am building capacity in the quiet. And when I speak again, and I will, The clarity will shake the very foundations of your situation, but it will only land properly if your posture is still surrendered and sensitive. Do not make decisions in the dark. Wait, I see the full picture. I am not trying to frustrate you. I am forming you. And this season, though silent, will become the most significant chapter of your spiritual life if you stay faithful to me. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. My silence is shaking, child. And I only go silent when I trust you enough to keep walking. I warned them through people, through dreams, through subtle shifts, but they ignored the signs. You must learn to discern when I am speaking through unusual methods. You think I only speak through thunder, through open heavens and audible voices. No, child, I am far more creative than that. I speak through whispers, through timing, through restlessness, through strange encounters and unshakable dreams. I send signals through people, through closed doors, even through interruptions. But so many missed me. Not because I wasn't speaking, but because I didn't speak in the format they expected. They wanted confirmation, wrapped in perfection. They wanted the booming voice of God. And because I sent a whisper through a flawed vessel, they dismissed it. Because I spoke through discomfort, they rebuked it. And because I moved through delay, they cursed it. But I was in it all. I sent them warning signs, some loud, some subtle, a delayed flight that kept them from harm, a strange unease about that business deal, a friend who out of nowhere said the exact sentence they had been praying about in private, but they called it coincidence. They called it emotion. And so they missed the very hand I extended to them. Some of them were on the verge of danger, but they pressed forward, blinded by their agenda. Some were entangled in relationships I never blessed, but they ignored the dream I sent that unsettled their soul. They didn't slow down. They didn't pray again. They didn't ask, "Lord, is that you?" They just charged ahead. And by the time they saw clearly, pain had already taken root. Not because I didn't love them, but because they didn't listen. Now I say this to you with gravity in my voice. Do not ignore the unusual. You have asked me for direction, and I have been sending it. That moment when your spirit tenses in a room, that is me. That recurring dream that won't leave you alone, that is me. That stranger who confirms something you whispered yesterday, that is me. I don't always speak in ways that are clean, polished, or expected. I am not limited to pulpits and devotionals. I will speak through a child, through a stranger, through a storm, through silence, through pain, and through peace. But you must pay attention. You must slow down long enough to notice that my fingerprints are everywhere. Child, I am not hiding from you. I am surrounding you. But you must train your spirit to recognize the language of my presence. Do not expect me only in the dramatic. Learn to see me in the daily. My spirit is subtle, not because I am secretive, but because I am sovereign. And the more you yield, the more you will see. The more you obey, the more you will hear. This is how I protect you. Not always through walls, but through warnings. And if you will stay soft, stay watching, stay willing, I will guide you through even the most uncertain terrain. But if you harden your heart and demand signs only in the form you prefer, you will miss the miracle I have already placed in motion. So look again, listen again, pray again. I am speaking not just to your ears, but to your spirit. Do not dismiss the sign just because it doesn't match your style. The next direction you need might already be unfolding right in front of your eyes. They became so focused on their pain that they lost sight of my purpose. You must guard your perspective, or pain will lead you where I never sent you. Pain is powerful. It speaks without words. It lingers long after the moment has passed. It can cloud vision, blur direction, and if not surrendered, become a compass that leads my people into dangerous places. I watched it happen to them. The ones who started out full of joy, full of trust, full of hope. But then came the disappointment, the betrayal, the delay, the diagnosis, the unanswered prayer. And slowly, subtly, their focus shifted. They stopped seeing me and started seeing only what hurt them. They didn't even realize it at first. But pain became their lens. And once pain becomes your lens, everything you see becomes distorted. They interpreted every delay as rejection, every challenge as abandonment, every silence as punishment. They began expecting pain, planning around it, bracing for it, instead of believing for healing, restoration, and glory. They didn't say it out loud, but deep down, they stopped believing that good things could happen to them again. Their prayers became shallow. Their praise became conditional. Their trust became fragile. I tried to reach them. I tried to shift their perspective. I sent reminders. I whispered hope, but they were too tethered to their trauma, too loyal to their wounds. They loved me, yes, but they trusted their pain more than they trusted my plan. And because of that, they veered. They walked paths I didn't design. They entered relationships I never ordained. They built belief systems around fear, not faith. And I grieved because their pain wasn't meant to be permanent. It was meant to be processed with me. Now I speak to you, my precious one. I see the pain. I know the part of your story that still stings. I know the nights you have cried in silence, the memories that flash without warning, the triggers that make you wonder if you'll ever truly be free. And I do not minimize it. I hold it all in my hands. But listen carefully. If you don't surrender your pain, it will shape your path more than my promises do. And that is not the life I destined for you. I want to heal it, not hide it. I want to redeem it, not just help you survive it. But I cannot heal what you won't release. I cannot shift what you won't surrender. You cannot carry both control and freedom. One must bow. So here is my call to you now. Lay it down. Do not let pain become your narrative. Do not let grief become your guide. I still have purpose. I still have beauty to bring from the ashes. But you must lift your eyes. Lift them off the betrayal, off the failure, off the timeline that didn't unfold the way you wanted. Look at me. Because, child, when your eyes are locked on me, I can walk you through anything. The pain may be real, but it is not final. And it does not get to decide your future. My purpose does, and I always finish what I start. They clung to their history more than my prophecy. They kept rehearsing what happened instead of declaring what was coming. That cycle cost them their next season. Let me take you into the secret. The cycle that has stolen more futures than failure ever could. It is the cycle of remembrance without revelation. They held on to what happened over and over, rehearsing every wrong, every wound, every what if. They wore their history like a badge, like proof of why they couldn't step into what I had promised. But child, you cannot walk forward while your soul is facing backward. I saw it in them. They were anointed, appointed, assigned by heaven. But they were addicted to the past, hooked to how it felt, and what was lost. And because they would not stop reliving it, they never lived beyond it. They clung to their story like it was all they had left. They believed in me, yes, but only through the filter of what they had survived. And so every new opportunity felt like a threat. Every open door triggered their memory of a door that once slammed shut. I sent fresh revelation, but they interpreted it through old pain. I tried to birth new vision, but they only saw it through the rearview mirror. They quoted my promises, but they carried their past louder than my prophecy. And I say this with the deepest ache. They missed what I prepared for them. Not because it wasn't real, not because I changed my mind, but because they could not let go of what was behind them long enough to embrace what was ahead. And now let me speak to you tenderly and directly. Your history is not your prison, unless you keep the door locked. Yes, what happened matters, but it is not the only thing that matters. I am doing a new thing, but you cannot receive the new if your heart is still married to the old. You cannot declare the next if your mind is still stuck in what didn't work last time. I gave you a future, child, one filled with hope. But you must partner with it. You must begin to declare what I have spoken, not just repeat what you have endured. You have rehearsed the betrayal, you have repeated the loss, but now it is time to prophecy. Speak life, speak restoration, speak favor, not because your past wasn't real, but because my word is more real. And my word overrides history every single time. This is where others stopped, clinging to the comfort of what was, because they were too afraid of the cost of what could be. But you are different. You have asked for more. You have opened your heart, and now I say to you, it is time to let go. Time to stop replaying the chapters I have already healed. Time to align your mouth with my promise, not your pain. Your next season is already stirring. Your future is already forming, but it will not wait forever for you to believe. Do not let history hold you hostage. I am not bound to what was. I am bound to what I spoke. And if you align your perspective, your prayers, your posture, I will unfold the future in ways you never imagined. Let go. Speak forward. I am still writing. They tried to carry a mantle I never gave them. It looked impressive, but it crushed them. You must only walk in the grace assigned to you. There is a weight that comes with every calling, child, and not all weights are yours to carry. I watched as they picked up mantles that were never measured for their shoulders. They saw someone else's anointing and desired it, not out of rebellion, but out of admiration. They assumed that what looked glorious in public must be glorious in private. But what they didn't see were the groanings in secret, the crushing that came before the oil, the fire that refined before the mantle ever rested. They grabbed what looked powerful, but lacked the preparation. And because of that, it broke them. They weren't evil. They weren't uncalled, but they were unassigned to the mantle they tried to carry. And the weight of it bent them backwards until they no longer recognized who they were. You see, my assignments are specific. My grace is tailored. I handcraft the capacity of each child according to the purpose I place within them. But when you step outside of your assignment and try to operate in someone else's, grace lifts, and without grace, gifting becomes a grind. You start performing instead of flowing. You start comparing instead of communing. You start chasing platforms instead of resting in presence. And that is where they fell. They built altars to someone else's calling. They mimicked, but missed the substance. They confused ambition with anointing, and I wept not because they desired more, but because they forgot that more in my kingdom never comes through mimicry. It comes through surrender. Now I turn my voice toward you. Do not make the same mistake. Do not look at what someone else is doing and assume it is your invitation. Your stage is not your signal. Their success is not your prophecy. Their doors are not your confirmation. I know what I placed in you. I know the fire I lit in your bones. I know the shape of the mantle that was custom fit for your shoulders, and I will not allow you to pick up what I did not design. Even if it looks noble, even if it gains applause, even if it works for a while, because eventually unassigned mantles always collapse. You were not called to imitate. You were called to inhabit, to take up space in your lane, run your race, carry your cross, and walk in your grace. Let me make it plain. If the grace isn't there, the weight will destroy you. And I love you too much to let you be destroyed trying to look impressive. So come back to center. Lay down what was never yours to hold. Do not chase visibility. Chase my voice. Do not pursue titles. Pursue truth. The ones before you broke because they thought calling was transferable. But what is yours, no one can take. And what is not yours, no matter how hard you try, will never truly fit. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Just be faithful with what I gave you. That is where your power is. That is where your legacy lies. In alignment, not imitation. You stayed with me this far because something in you refuses to repeat their mistake. And now I am asking you to take it one step further, to become the vessel through which my word keeps flowing. When you give, whether through super thanks, becoming a member, or giving via PayPal, you are not just donating, you are sowing fire into the future of someone else's freedom. Give, and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That harvest is attached to this very moment. You are helping carry the truth that others once ignored, but you embraced. Your obedience here will echo. Do not delay. Go now. Pour into what just poured into you and watch me multiply it beyond what you imagined. They delayed obedience while waiting for full understanding, but obedience doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it creates it. Let me remind you of something sacred. I never said you had to understand everything to obey. I only ever asked for your trust. But they, the ones who hesitated, who missed their moment, they let questions paralyze what was meant to be an immediate yes. They wanted full details. They wanted a guarantee. They wanted assurance of outcome before they moved. And so they stayed. They lingered at the threshold of breakthrough, waiting for answers I was never going to give until they obeyed. They thought they were being cautious, but what looked like wisdom was really fear dressed in logic. And that fear robbed them of doors that only open on the other side of surrender. Child, there are some things I will never explain until after you obey. That is not cruelty, that is covenant. Because if I have to give you full understanding before you move, then your trust is in clarity, not in me. But real faith moves in the mystery. Real obedience walks, even when the way is fogged. Real surrender says, "Yes, Lord," even when the next step hasn't been revealed. I missed this in them. They kept saying, "I'm praying about it." When I had already spoken, they kept waiting for peace, not realizing that peace often follows obedience. It doesn't always precede it. And so they delayed. They missed their window. And what could have been immediate became prolonged. Not because I changed my mind, but because they didn't move when I called. Now you stand in that same space. I have whispered to you. I have stirred your spirit. I have given confirmations. And still, you hesitate. You say, but Lord, what if I get it wrong? Child, even if you stumble, I'll catch you. Even if you misstep, I'll redirect. But I cannot steer what refuses to move. Your obedience doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be present. I can work with a willing heart. I can multiply a mustard seed. I can light the path as you walk. But I will not force your feet to move. That part is yours. And if you wait too long, what was meant for now may have to wait until a different season, one that doesn't carry the same ease or favor. So hear me. Move. Say yes. Step out. Go right now. Release the fear. I will meet you in the motion. I will anoint your steps. I will cover your gaps. But you must step, even if it is small, even if it is scary, even if you don't know how it ends. I didn't ask for understanding. I asked for obedience. The clarity will come, but first, obey. They mistook delay as denial, and in their impatience they stepped out of timing. But timing is everything in my kingdom. There is something I must say to you, not to scold, but to spare you, because you are right on the edge of something holy, and I won't let you step into it wrong. So hear me. Timing is not a technicality. It is divine strategy. I watched as those before you became impatient. They heard the promise, they believed the vision, but they grew tired of waiting. And instead of guarding the timing, they rushed the process. They forced open doors I had not yet unlocked. They launched what I was still refining. They stepped ahead of me and found themselves fighting battles I never asked them to face. Because when you step outside of my timing, you step outside of my covering. They thought delay meant I had changed my mind. They assumed the wait meant rejection. But child, I never changed my mind. I was changing them. I wasn't stalling, I was preparing. There were things in their character that still needed maturing. There were alignments still forming. There were enemies still being moved out of the way. And most of all, there was oil I was still pressing. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. The kind of oil that cannot be microwaved. The kind of preparation that takes time. Because it is producing something weighty, something sacred. But they didn't understand that. They confused preparation with punishment. They mistook my pruning for punishment and my pace as neglect. And because of that, they ran ahead and they fell hard. Now you, precious one, I know the wait has felt long. I know the promise feels close, but not yet within reach. I know your heart says it is time, but your circumstances say not yet. And that tension is not meant to torment you. It is meant to train you. You are not in limbo. You are in alignment. You are not forgotten. You are being forged. If I have delayed something, it is only because I love you too much to give you a gift that your current maturity can't carry. I am not trying to frustrate you. I am trying to fortify you, because what is ahead will not just require faith. It will require stamina, and I would rather you feel delayed now than defeated later. So listen carefully. Do not rush. Do not try to prove anything. Do not force the promise. Let me finish what I started. Because when the door opens in my time, it will not come with burnout, confusion, or compromise. It will come with peace, clarity, and power. And you won't have to strive. You will just step in. I haven't forgotten you. I haven't ignored you. I am just making sure the environment matches the promise. And when it is ready, When you are ready, I will release it, and it will be worth every second you waited. Stay still. Stay faithful. My timing is perfect. Do not make the same mistake they did. They allowed bitterness to poison their discernment. What began as disappointment became a lens that clouded their ability to hear me clearly. Let me say this slowly, because it runs deep. Bitterness doesn't always start loud, it starts quietly, subtly. It disguises itself as caution, as discernment, even as wisdom. But its root is always the same: wounded expectation. I watched them. I saw the moment it happened. They were believing me for something, praying, fasting, hoping. But when the answer didn't come how or when they expected, something shifted. They didn't tell anyone. They still said all the right words. But inside, something closed. Their heart became guarded, their trust hesitant, and slowly their discernment began to warp. Not because I stopped speaking, but because their ears could no longer hear me clearly through the filter of offense. Bitterness is dangerous because it doesn't just affect your emotions, it affects your direction. It makes you skeptical of my goodness. It makes you second-guess every nudge of my spirit. And eventually, it paints every door as a trap, every delay as betrayal, every challenge as abandonment. They didn't even realize it, but bitterness had become their interpreter. And so they missed me, child. They misheard me. I gave them green lights and they called it manipulation. I sent provision and they rejected it out of pride. I opened doors, but they wouldn't walk through because the last door hurt them. Their pain started making decisions that were supposed to come from my presence. And by the time they realized it, they were far from the path I had marked for them. Now I come to you not with rebuke, but with redemption. You have been hurt, haven't you? Let down, maybe even by people who spoke in my name. And it left a scar, a quiet one, a subtle one. But child, even the smallest seed of bitterness can grow into a force that blocks out the light of my direction. I am not asking you to pretend you are not disappointed. I am asking you to bring the disappointment to me. I can handle it, I can heal it, I can uproot it, but only if you let me. Because bitterness doesn't just hurt your heart, it clouds your hearing. And if you can't hear me clearly, how will you know where to go next? So, let's begin again. Right now, let me into the places that still sting. Let me tear out the weeds of resentment before they choke your joy. You are not too far. I am here, and I am healing you now. If you are ready to surrender and step into what God has for you, type yes in the comments, save this message, and share it with someone who needs this declaration. If you're moved to partner, the links are in the description. You are not too damaged, you are not disqualified, but you must release what has been quietly growing in the deep corners of your soul. Do not let what happened to you become what happens through you. I am the God who restores, who revives, and who redeems. But I cannot do that in a heart that has been hardened by unspoken hurt. So soften again. Open again. If you do this, you will see again with clarity, with confidence, and with clean lenses. This is how you protect your discernment, by refusing to let pain become permanent. I still want to speak to you. I still want to lead you. But you must choose healing over bitterness, because that choice will change everything. If this is landing in your spirit right now, pause and type open in the comments. Declare it out loud and anchor this moment. I have seen others stop showing up because they thought their presence didn't matter. But the enemy's greatest strategy is to convince my chosen ones that they are replaceable. Let me say it plainly, so you never forget it. You are not just a number in a crowd. You are not background noise to someone else's calling. You are not optional in my plans. You are irreplaceable. I watched it happen to those who came before you. Those I had anointed, equipped, and set apart began to shrink back. They stopped showing up. They stopped praying like they used to. They stopped serving with passion. And they stopped expecting a breakthrough. Why? Because somewhere deep inside, they started believing the lie that their obedience didn't make a difference. They assumed that if they didn't show up, someone else would just fill the gap. And so they started to disengage quietly, subtly, one decision at a time. But what they didn't understand was this: when they stepped back, something specific went missing. Because their presence carried a sound that no one else could release. If you feel that tug to show up again, press the like heart now. Let your action match your stirring. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you or derail you completely. All he needs to do is convince you that you don't matter, that your prayers are just echoes, that your influence is invisible, and that your obedience is optional. Once he plants that seed, he waters it with isolation. He feeds it with comparison until the one I crown begins to feel like a shadow, until the one I called royalty begins to walk like a commoner. That is what happened to them. They forgot the weight of their presence. They stopped realizing that when they walk into a room filled with my spirit, the atmosphere shifts. They forgot that when they speak, mountains move. By the time they realized what had been stolen, their confidence had already crumbled. Not because I changed my mind about them, but because they stopped believing what I had spoken. Now hear me, you who are still holding on. You matter. Not in a vague, cliché, surface-level way, but in a heaven-designed, eternity-impacting way. Your voice breaks chains. Your hands carry healing. Your presence makes hell nervous. You were not put here to simply exist. You were strategically assigned to a generation, to a space, to a moment in time that would lack something essential if you didn't show up. I didn't fill you with my fire just so you could dim yourself to make others comfortable. I didn't breathe my spirit into you just so you could blend in. I marked you. And when you step out of alignment, it is not just your own life that misses out. It is the lives connected to your obedience. So rise again, show up again, believe again. You don't need to feel qualified. You just need to be present. I will fill the gaps. I will anoint the words. I will make up the difference. But I can't send you if you won't stand, and I can't use you if you keep hiding. Don't disqualify yourself because of how long it has been or how small you feel. The enemy has lied to you long enough. I say this with urgency. The body needs your part, the kingdom needs your obedience, and your generation needs your presence. There are doors waiting to open, but they only respond to the sound of your footsteps. So don't shrink. Don't vanish. Don't believe the lie that you are replaceable. You were made for such a time as this, and there is no substitute for your yes. They never truly surrendered because they feared what surrender would cost. But what they didn't realize is that holding back costs more. This is where the enemy won again and again, not by stealing their strength, but by planting fear in the very place where surrender should have bloomed. They loved me, yes. They worshiped, they prayed, they served. But when it came to complete surrender, they hesitated. They held back the parts that hurt the most. The relationships, the dreams, the timing, the identity they had built, the narrative they clung to. They gave me the outer courts of their heart, but they kept the inner chambers sealed. Why? Because they believed a lie that if they gave me everything, I would take from them everything they loved. That if they laid it all down, they would lose too much. But they didn't realize that I never wanted to strip them. I wanted to strengthen them. I never wanted to diminish their dreams. I wanted to divinely reorder them. I never wanted blind submission. I wanted intimate trust. Surrender doesn't erase your desires, it elevates them under my design. But because they feared loss more than they trusted my love, they settled for partial obedience. If you are ready to surrender the one thing you've been holding back, comment the word surrender, and then go do the single brave thing your heart knows is required. And child, listen closely. Partial obedience is still disobedience, and disobedience always delays destiny. They thought they were playing it safe, but they were actually standing in the very middle of what was keeping them bound. Now I look at you and I know how hard it has been. I see the battle raging inside you between control and trust, between logic and faith, between safety and surrender. And I am not angry. I am not frustrated. I understand. But I cannot and will not let you walk forward with only half of your heart yielded, because what comes next requires full surrender. What is coming demands clean hands and an open heart. I want to pour out something so powerful, so personal, so tailor-made for you, but I cannot mix my glory with hidden idols. I cannot pour out fire on altars you won't let me rebuild. I cannot multiply what you won't let me touch. So this is my invitation, one final call, not to condemn, but to liberate. Lay it all down, not just the parts that are easy, not just the prayers you have pre-approved, but all of it. The unknown, the fear, the desires you are afraid to lose, the timing you keep trying to control, the identity you have crafted in the shadows. Bring it all to me. I am not here to punish, I am here to pour. I am not a thief, I am the giver of every good and perfect gift. What I want to release into your life cannot be measured or manufactured. It can only be received through surrender. Trust me. Let me have it all, not because I demand it, but because you were never meant to carry it. This is not the end, this is the threshold. And on the other side of this surrender is a version of your life, your calling, and your freedom so powerful that it will redeem every delay, heal every wound, and glorify my name in ways you can't even imagine yet. Don't hold back. This is your moment. What they forfeited through fear, you are about to access through full surrender. You have just received what they missed: truth, correction, and a call that cost me everything to give you. Now it is your turn to respond. If this word has stirred you to act, do something immediate. Tap Super Thanks or the PayPal link and plant the seed of your obedience now. Don't think, just give what you can. When you give, when you sow into this holy ground through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link, you are not simply tipping a channel. You are fueling the movement, watering a word, and funding the delivery of rescue to someone else's soul. My word says those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. I see what you have sacrificed, and I will not let your obedience return empty. Don't walk away from this moment like they did. Go now, plant what is in your hand, and I will release what is in mine. Before you scroll away, I need you to seal this word with your voice. I am not asking you to comment for attention. I am inviting you to make a prophetic declaration that shifts the atmosphere. If you refuse to repeat their mistake, then say it. Declare it boldly. I will not make the same mistake. I choose alignment over assumption. Your words are not small. They are spiritual agreements that unlock divine motion. Drop that declaration in the comments right now. Let the enemy see that you heard me, you believe me, and you are stepping into what they forfeited. This is not just a post. This is a moment of destiny. And now that you have declared it, I want you to understand why this moment matters so deeply. What you just spoke was not only resistance, it was remembrance. Many before you lost ground not because I stopped moving, but because they stopped remembering who I was and what I had already done. This is where destiny is preserved or quietly eroded. So stay with me here because I am about to reveal the trap you must never fall into. My beloved child, look at your hands now and then look back to where I first met you. I want you to confront the mistake of forgetfulness, a silent erosion that has dimmed the faith of many before you. You see the comfort surrounding you now, the provision of this very day, and tragically, you fail to remember my mighty works and provision in the past. I look at you and I see a memory fading, allowing the ease of the present moment to eclipse the undeniable reality of your past deliverance. Don't let your current ease blind you to the chasm I pulled you from. You are neglecting the testament of my scripture and the ironclad nature of my promises, treating them as relics instead of living water for your soul. I urge you to stop drifting from the solid foundation laid in the fire of your earlier faith. That foundation was forged in struggle, and you must protect it now in your peace. Pause now. Think back to the moment you believed you couldn't make it. The day the financial walls were closing in, or the moment the doctor gave you the frightening news. Do you recall the stillness when my solution arrived completely outside of your planning? I want you to remember that vividly. Call that moment to mind. You stood on a precipice, and I was the unseen hand that stabilized your world. I commanded the chaos to settle, and it obeyed my voice. Do you truly believe that the God who calmed that storm would abandon you now over something so small as a current worry? I promise you, my power is not diminished by your current calm. You have fallen into the treacherous trap of worshiping the blessings instead of the blesser, focusing on the gifts rather than the giver of all good things. Your career, your home, your family, these are magnificent gifts, but they were never meant to take my place. When you elevate my creation above my presence, you inevitably start losing the immense wonder of your salvation and the transformative power of my fierce grace. Don't mistake the platform I built for you for the person who stands on it. I see the weary look in your eyes, the one that asks, was it really me? Or was it just luck or my own effort? I am here to tell you with absolute unshakable certainty, it was me. I orchestrated your victories, provided your escapes, and whispered encouragement into your doubting heart. I was the strength when your legs felt weak. I was the wisdom when your mind was clouded with indecision. Rise now, my child. Kick off this deceptive fog of forgetfulness. Renew your mind and acknowledge the unearned favor that covers your life. Declare your victory over the enemy. Ignite your spirit with a remembrance of my glorious acts. This journey is not built on your strength, but on my unwavering commitment to you. I am the God who never forgets his promises, and I demand that you refuse to forget my mighty deeds in your life. Your life is a profound testament to my power, a living, breathing proof that I keep my promises. I will not allow your success to become the very thing that separates you from me. Commit your heart to recounting my goodness today, not just as a duty, but as a burning passion. Stop treating the memory of my deliverance as a fleeting dream. Make it the constant reality that supersedes your present circumstances. Lift your eyes and see that every breath you take is a continuation of my endless provision. I want you to look back, remember everything, and confidently step forward. Know this: I am your giver, your deliverer, and your very foundation, now and forevermore. I will always sustain you, my cherished one. Open your eyes and inspect the terrain of your heart. Right now, I want to address the profound danger of divided allegiance, a path that has caused countless faithful ones to stumble right where the road seemed easiest. You are trying to serve two masters, seeking to align both with me and with the fleeting, hollow idols of this world. You attempt to build your fortress with my stone and the world's sand, and I tell you that structure will fail in the slightest storm. I see the strain in your spirit, the unbearable tension of trying to hold my hand while simultaneously grasping for the world's false promises of mammon, ephemeral fame, and temporal power. This constant internal battle forces you to compromise the absolute truth I have given you just for temporary acceptance in circles that ultimately do not matter. That knot you feel in your stomach when you have to choose between upholding my standard and fitting in, that knot is the consequence of divided allegiance. It is the alarm my spirit sounds in your soul, reminding you that you are attempting the impossible. You cannot have one foot confidently planted in my unshakable kingdom and the other carelessly wading in the shifting currents of the world's fleeting ways. Stop now. I command you to cease this frantic effort to please me and please man. You are desperately seeking approval from mortals whose opinions change like the wind more than you are seeking the unwavering, infinite approval that I have already freely bestowed upon you through my Son. Examine your priorities. Where does your time go? Where does your true energy flow? If the scales tip toward human praise and worldly validation, then you are mixing light and darkness, and the resulting confusion is slowing your spiritual advance to a halt. You are diluting your fierce commitment with lukewarmness, which is nothing more than spiritual apathy dressed up as moderation. I call you to separation. I am the God who demands all, not half of your heart. I want your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole strength, because anything less leaves a vulnerable entry point for the enemy to deceive you. Declare my lordship over every compartment of your life, your finances, your professional ambition, your relationships. Let go of the need to be understood or applauded by those who reject my truth. Your acceptance is a high price to pay for your peace. Remember that I am a jealous God, not because I am insecure, but because I know that anything you put before me will ultimately disappoint you and leave you empty. I built you for a grand purpose, for radiant, unique glory. But that glory is revealed only in complete surrender. You must not allow the seductive whispers of cultural relevance or the pressure of keeping up with your peers to chip away at the absolute sovereignty of my truth in your life. The world offers a deceptive feast of empty calories, but I offer you the bread of life. Choose this day whom you will serve. I am not asking you to become a recluse. I am asking you to become a radiant beacon. When you fully commit to me, your light naturally shines so brightly that the world is either drawn to your warmth or repelled by your intensity. That separation is healthy, not harmful. Embrace that sacred distinction. Abandon the miserable ground of compromise and step fully onto the high, solid ground of covenant and truth. I have given you the wisdom and the spiritual authority to make this clean break. Use it now. Do not delay. Your true peace is found only in the unwavering, undivided commitment to my name. I will fortify your will and guard your heart as you fully turn toward me. Trust me completely. I will never leave you exposed or undefended as you follow my command. I am your only sovereign, my precious child. You have conquered mountains, endured valleys, and seen my faithfulness tested and proven in the crucible. But now beware of the subtle, silent killer that attacks the victorious, the pitfall of complacency. This is the spiritual dullness that sets in when comfort lulls your soul to sleep. You have mistakenly assumed that my immense grace permits a life without rigorous spiritual discipline, treating the gift of salvation as a final destination instead of the starting line of an eternal race. I look upon your journey and I see a dangerous stagnation setting in. You act as though you have arrived, believing that the hard work of spiritual growth is complete. This arrogance is a subtle poison. You are ceasing to pray with fervent, desperate urgency, neglecting to study the living fire of my word, and no longer seeking my face daily with the hunger you once had. Tell me, when was the last time you knelt in your quiet room, not just to list requests, but to genuinely pour out your soul in surrender? I invite you back to that place. Do not confuse stillness with spiritual rest. True rest in me is active, not passive. It renews your strength for the race ahead. It does not license you to drop your shield and sword. I see the slow, insidious creep of sin into the unguarded corners of your heart. Small compromises, quiet indulgences, and unchecked thoughts that you rationalize away. You are ignoring these subtle cracks in your armor because the external pressure has lessened. Stop making excuses. That small transgression you permit today is the weak point the enemy will exploit tomorrow. Furthermore, you are neglecting the powerful, unique gifts I have lovingly bestowed upon you. The talents, the spiritual capabilities, the opportunities, they lie dormant, underused, and unpolished while I wait for you to deploy them for my kingdom. When you hide my gifts, you betray my trust and you defraud the world of the unique light I intended you to share. Take up your mantle and use what I have placed in your hand. Worst of all, I perceive that you are becoming dull of hearing to my gentle voice, the very guidance that secures your steps. Your soul is cluttered with the noise of distraction, the endless scroll of trivial concerns, the ceaseless demand for entertainment, and the clamor of the world's opinions. This makes my spirit's voice sound like a faint echo rather than the clear command it once was. Tune your heart. Discipline your mind to seek the signal above the static. I call you to renewal, not retreat. Shake off the heavy blanket of ease. Waken your slumbering soul with a cold splash of honest self-assessment. Refuse to coast on past victories. Those triumphs were meant to fuel your current momentum, not to become monuments to a finished work. Your life requires daily maintenance, daily cleansing, and daily refilling of my spirit. Go now and reclaim the disciplines that once defined your faith. The purposeful prayer, the reflective study, the generous service. I have not finished my perfect work in you. I have only paused to offer you this invitation to deepen the process. Embrace the rigor of a daily walk with me, for the greatest growth happens in the persistent, quiet pursuit of my presence. I will empower your weakness and turn your apathy into fierce passion. I am your sustainer. Lean on me for the strength to stand watch. My dear child, this is a matter of profound seriousness that cuts straight to the core of your relationship with me, the folly of disobedience. You are not a novice. You are one who knows my will and hears my voice. Yet I see instances where you hear my clear command spoken distinctly in your quiet time or through my written word, and you willfully choose a different parallel path. This is not accidental stumbling. This is a calculated choice that carries a weight of spiritual consequence that you dangerously underestimate. You spend precious time and mental energy rationalizing your sin instead of humbly repenting of it. You build elaborate intellectual excuses telling yourself that my statutes are too difficult, too restrictive, or somehow outdated for your modern context and specific circumstance. Stop arguing with my wisdom. When I command, I do so not to restrict your joy, but to protect your soul and secure your everlasting peace. My laws are an expression of my perfect nature and my blueprint for your flourishing. They are not arbitrary burdens. They are the boundary lines that define true freedom. The greatest danger lies in your underestimating the destructive power of a single seemingly small transgression. You believe that because the sin is private or appears minor, it will not fracture the spiritual integrity of your life. I am here to tell you that a single leak can sink the greatest ship. That little seed of rebellion, if left unchecked, will inevitably grow into a thick vine of bitterness or a consuming fire of distraction that chokes out the pure fruit of my spirit. You are choosing your momentary personal desire over my divine perfect will. And in that moment, you declare yourself wiser than your Creator. I challenge you to radical honesty. Look at that one area where my word is clear, and yet you consistently seek loopholes. Isolate that resistance. What fear or desire keeps you clinging to that disobedience? Is it the fear of loss? A love of comfort? A thirst for control? Bring that stubbornness into the fierce light of my presence. I demand your surrender, not for my benefit, but for your liberation. Your true prosperity and security are eternally tied to your willingness to walk in obedience, even when the path is confusing or costly. Remember the profound price paid for your freedom, my son's ultimate sacrifice. To walk in willful disobedience is to treat that blood as common, to disregard the incredible depth of the love that purchased your cleansing. You must not take this immense gift lightly. I call you to immediate, decisive action. Do not postpone repentance until a more convenient season. The time for a clean break is now. Cut off the compromise. I know the struggle is real, but my spirit living within you is infinitely greater than any temptation you face. Lean fully into my power. Seek the fierce grace that not only forgives your past failures, but empowers you to actively live a life of continuous obedience in the present. Confess your wrongdoing plainly and without self-justification. I am ready to restore the joy of your salvation. The moment you truly turn away from that path of rebellion, I will exchange your burden of self-will for the easy yoke of my perfect plan. I am your lawgiver, your defender, and your deliverer. Follow my commands, and you will walk on solid ground. Choose my way now. My beloved child, I see your efforts, your meticulous planning, and your determination to succeed in this world. But I must confront you now with the insidious spiritual trap that is the deception of self-reliance, the quiet, arrogant belief that you can manage this life without my constant, immediate intervention. You trust in your own formidable strength, your sharp wisdom, and your accumulated resources, subtly pushing me to the margins of your grand designs. Inspect your recent history. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. I want you to honestly ask yourself, when you faced a challenge, did you first consult your bank account, your network of contacts, or the brilliance of your own intellect? Or did you first fall to your knees in absolute, helpless reliance on me? When you neglect to acknowledge me in all your ways and all your elaborate plans, you commit the folly of independence and attempt to sever the necessary umbilical cord between the created and the Creator. This arrogance is a spiritual blindness that causes you to mistake your own capability for my sustaining power. You are refusing to surrender the complete control of your life to my perfect, all-knowing will. You hold on to the reins, gripping them tightly, believing that your vision is clearer and your timing is better than mine. Let go of the illusion of control. That anxiety you feel, the knot of dread when things don't go according to your exhaustive plan, is the constant draining cost of self-reliance. That knot is not for me. I invite you to lay that burden down at my feet. You are attempting to build your life's tower without my divine foundation, stacking success upon success, yet the structure lacks the eternal stability that only I can provide. You are mistaking earthly visible success, the promotion, the accolade, the material wealth, for genuine spiritual maturity. These accomplishments are fleeting, magnificent delusions if they are not firmly anchored in and leveraged for my eternal purpose. Stop measuring your worth by the temporary metrics of this dying world. I call you to humility. The moment you declare, "I did this myself," is the moment you begin to fall. Your greatest vulnerability lies not in your weakness, but in your perceived strength. Tear down the walls of independence and step out from the dangerous shadow of your own ego. Acknowledge my role as your primary source, your ultimate provider, and your constant guide. I am not merely a contingency plan for your failure. I am the very breath in your lungs and the wisdom in your mind. I offer you true security, the absolute confidence that the Creator of the universe is personally managing your affairs. Embrace this dependent posture, for it is the most powerful stance a soul can take. When you finally stop striving in your own strength, my infinite power will rush in to fill the vacuum. Stop fighting spiritual battles with carnal weapons. Surrender your ambition, your fears, and your control to my sovereign hand. Trust me to steer. My GPS is always correct. Your spiritual maturity is measured not by how much you achieve alone, but by how deeply you lean on me, your faithful God, for everything. I am your all in all. Step back and watch me work wonders in your dependence. My beloved, pause now and let the weight of the last 5 truths settle upon your soul. To walk away here, after I have revealed the very foundations of past failure, would not be merely a mistake. It would be a deep spiritual wound to the heart I willingly surrendered for you. I implore you, do not let the enemy steal your victory right when the path is clearest. I have given you the light. Do not choose to re-enter the darkness. If you silence my voice now, you grieve the Spirit who yearns to secure your freedom. I challenge your resolve. Prove your love to me, not just with words, but with your continued steadfast attention. Lean in, my child. Your deliverance demands the full truth. My child, I must now speak with urgency about the most perilous condition a soul can face, the danger of hardness of heart. This is not a sudden collapse, but a gradual, slow erosion of spiritual sensitivity, a profound and tragic state where you actively resist the gentle conviction of my Holy Spirit. I see the quiet rebellion when my Spirit whispers a gentle correction or exposes a hidden motive, and you deliberately shrug it off, building a callous layer over your once tender conscience. You are closing your ears to the consistent counsel and correction offered by my servants, the loving rebuke from a trusted friend, the challenging truth spoken by your spiritual leader, the direct conviction from my word. You choose to insulate yourself, favoring comfort over truth. And this refusal to be guided is a spiritual death wish. Stop defending your flaws and start listening for the voice of refining love. Lower your shield and allow the necessary cleansing truth to penetrate your soul. I see a growing cynicism and skepticism taking root in the space where bold, childlike faith once flourished. You are beginning to doubt my power, questioning the reliability of my love because circumstances have not followed your expected timeline. You are allowing past wounds, betrayals, unfairness, or deep disappointments to create a dense protective barrier against my healing grace. Tear down that monument to past pain. It is not protecting you, it is imprisoning you. The ultimate betrayal of this hardening is your refusal to forgive others. Just as I have unconditionally forgiven the vast, impossible debt of your sin, you hold on to that grudge, treating it like a precious, toxic trophy while it secretly releases a poison into your own soul. That root of bitterness will surely defile many in your sphere, contaminating your relationships and blocking the flow of my mercy into your own life. Release the prisoner. That prisoner is yourself. Forgive now completely. I call you to tenderness. Your heart must remain pliable, responsive to my slightest touch, like wet clay in the master's hand. Do not allow the trials of this life to turn your faith into stone. The hardships were meant to refine you, to deepen your dependence, not to make you indifferent or cold. You must fight the slow, tragic erosion of your empathy and tenderness for those around you, especially the suffering and the marginalized. I command you to repent of this resistance. Turn back to the gentle warmth of my Spirit's presence. Let the fire of my love melt away the calluses on your soul. Pray for a renewed, vulnerable heart that is quick to perceive, quick to obey, and quick to forgive. I want you to recover the profound joy of a clear conscience and a soft spirit. Believe me when I tell you that the greatest freedom comes when you submit fully to my cleansing work. I am your healer and your redeemer. Let my love permeate the cold, desolate places in your heart today. Choose vulnerability. Choose life. My beloved child, let us confront the most fundamental threat to your spiritual vitality, the blunder of unbelief. This is the ultimate spiritual sabotage, the core doubt that my power can penetrate and transform your seemingly impossible situations. You look at the mountains in your life, the crushing debt, the broken relationship, the chronic illness, the entrenched habit, and you quietly, tragically conclude that even my infinite power is restricted by the reality you can see. You are questioning the absolute reliability and the eternal living truth of my written word, treating my promises as beautiful metaphors rather than as concrete sovereign declarations. You fail to exercise the fierce act of faith that is my gift to you, choosing instead to look at the visible, terrifying circumstances of the moment rather than fixing your gaze on my unseen, unshakable promise. Stop measuring me by the limits of your sight. I demand you to see with the eyes of the Spirit, where every impossibility is merely an opportunity for my glorious intervention. I see the paralyzing effect of fear in your heart, a direct consequence of doubt. Fear is simply doubt in motion, robbing you of the energy, the clarity, and the resolve you need to move forward. Fear is the enemy's whisper, and you must silence it with the loud declaration of my promises over your life. When you allow unbelief to take root, you are deliberately restricting my ability to work the miracles you desperately pray for. You are effectively tying my hands with the thread of your human skepticism. I call you to audacious faith. Stop confining me to the boundaries of your past experience or your current understanding. Widen your spiritual vision. What is the greatest miracle you have ever witnessed? I can do infinitely more than that. Stretch your expectation to encompass the supernatural. Believe in me not just as the God of yesterday, but as the God who actively intervenes, restores, and transforms in this very moment. Declare this truth now. My word is more reliable than your feelings. My power is greater than your circumstances. My love is fiercer than your fear. Embrace the active battle of faith. When doubt knocks at the door of your heart, send faith to answer it. Faith is the victory that overcomes the world, and it is a gift I have already placed in your spirit. Use the weapon I have given you. I command you to stand firm. Do not allow the temporal darkness of a trial to obscure the eternal brilliant light of my promise. Cultivate a memory of my past faithfulness, not as a history lesson, but as a living fuel for your present belief. Remember the impossible chasms I have already bridged. Trust me completely in the unproven future, for my nature is to deliver, to save, and to make whole. I will never disappoint the soul that leans fully on my unwavering nature. I am your miracle worker. Step into the certainty of my promise and watch the impossible surrender to my name. Live by faith, my child, not by sight. My precious one, I see the constant, frantic energy you expend battling the trap of worldly anxiety. I see the invisible weight on your shoulders, the knot of dread that tightens in your chest whenever you think about tomorrow's needs, the unexpected bill, or the potential for loss. That constant sense of being overwhelmed is not my design for you. It is the direct result of failing to cast your heavy burdens upon me. Just as I so clearly commanded you to do, you clutch them tightly, thinking that if you worry about them hard enough, you can somehow control the outcome. Stop this striving now. I observe your priorities, and I see a painful imbalance. You prioritize earthly possessions, job security, and material comfort over the unshakable certainty of my kingdom and my eternal promises. You allow the persistent cares of this age, the demands of your career, the upkeep of your home, the pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, to choke the pure seed of my living word in your heart. This is spiritual suffocation. A word that was meant to grow into a mighty tree of life becomes stunted and fruitless because it is starved of the nourishment of your faith. Refuse to let the temporal sabotage the eternal. This continuous fear and stress, this corrosive nature of anxiety, is a direct attack on your physical and spiritual health. I created your body for rest and peace, but your mind is running a marathon of what-ifs that steal your sleep and drain your strength. You are distrusting my perfect timing and my unshakable provision for your life, treating me as a fickle source rather than the endless wellspring I am. When you fear lack, you deny the reality of my abundance. I challenge you now to name your deepest fear. Say it aloud. Is it the fear of being truly poor? The fear of loneliness? The fear of professional failure? Bring that specific gripping fear into the light. And now I command you to exchange that fear for my promise. Where you see scarcity, I declare abundance. Where you see instability, I establish my rock-solid security. Trust the undeniable evidence of your past. Did I not feed you when you were hungry? Did I not guide you when you were lost? Did I not sustain you through the season of drought? Your past deliverance is my pledge for your future provision. You are not a forgotten orphan. You are my cherished child, and it is my deepest desire to provide for you abundantly, not just with what is necessary, but with boundless, overflowing grace. Breathe in my peace. I am asking for more than just a momentary prayer. I am inviting you into a completely new way of living, a life defined by radical active trust. When the worry creeps in, you must immediately counter it with gratitude and my promises. Reclaim your thoughts and dedicate your energy not to stressing over the future, but to building my kingdom today. Seek first my righteousness, and all these things you anxiously chase will be added to you, effortless and perfect in my timing. I am your provider. Rest in the certainty of my complete control. Refuse to be ruled by fear. You are commanded to live in my peace. I will personally manage your tomorrow so you can fully live in the joy of your today. Your security is not in your savings account, but in the unshakable truth of my character. My beloved, look at the relentless pace of your life, the way you race through seasons, demanding immediate gratification and relief from every momentary suffering. I call this the subtle, often ignored sin of impatience. A refusal to believe in the supreme wisdom of my divine schedule and perfect timing. You are constantly running ahead of my careful orchestration, desperate to push doors open before I have fully prepared the way. The core of this impatience is a profound lack of trust, a fundamental failure to wait quietly and trustingly upon the one who holds all time and purpose in his hands. When the trial comes, instead of resting, you rush to solve it, demanding an instant miracle, a swift exit, or immediate clarity. This is the failure to embrace the sacred slowness of my work in your soul. You think I do not see your suffering. You think my clock is broken because you take matters into your own hands rather than patiently trusting my deep transformative process. You constantly face the consequence of rushed, ill-conceived decisions. You jump from one solution to the next, scattering your resources and your peace, because you refuse to let the seed of my purpose germinate fully beneath the soil of silence and patience. The fruit you harvest is often thin and bitter because it was forced before its season. Stop running. I command your soul to find stillness in the midst of the chaos you feel. I invite you into the waiting room of my presence, a sacred space where the greatest character growth is available. That specific discomfort you feel right now, that profound frustration with the delay, is the very crucible designed to forge endurance and spiritual grit in your character. If I gave you everything the moment you asked, you would remain perpetually shallow and weak. I am seeking to develop in you a deep, abiding strength, the kind that can withstand any future storm. I challenge you to surrender the illusion of speed. Your life is not a race against others. It is a sacred journey designed to mold you into the image of my Son. Embrace the deeper work available only in the patient waiting. You miss the subtle, precious lessons, the whispers of my guidance, the unique moments of intimacy because you are too preoccupied with the destination to appreciate the sacredness of the journey. Refuse to be distracted by the urgency of the world. Let others rush and force their outcomes. Your power is found in your ability to pause, breathe, and affirm my sovereignty. I promise you this: those who wait on me will renew their strength. They will soar like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. This is not a quaint poem. This is an operational promise for your life. Claim that promise now. I will empower you to endure. I will turn your frantic energy into quiet, effective strength. Do not fear the silence of the waiting. It is in that space that I prepare the miracle. Trust the process, trust the timing, and trust the unwavering love of the one who knows the end from the beginning. I am your perfect timing. Rest in my schedule, and you will reap a harvest that is rich, full, and enduring. Wait on me, my child. My precious one, let us turn our gaze to the most ancient, deceptive, and spiritually destructive enemy of the soul, the peril of pride. This is a subtle dross of arrogance that begins with a shift in attribution. I see you thinking that your current spiritual status, your level of knowledge, or your disciplined life somehow exempts you from the persistent reality of temptation and the need for constant vigilance. This self-assurance is the very signal of your imminent fall. When you look at the victories and successes in your life, the overcoming of a temptation, the completion of a major project, the financial stability, you are dangerously attributing that success to your own merit, your hard work, or your unique intelligence, rather than to my boundless, undeserved grace. This theft of glory is offensive to my love. It is a profound forgetfulness of the absolute truth that without me you can achieve nothing of lasting eternal value. Furthermore, this pride manifests as a haughty spirit that leads you to look down upon your fellow believers, judging them for their visible struggles, their lack of discipline, or their slower pace of spiritual growth. Worse still, you look down upon those outside the faith, seeing them only as objects of scorn, forgetting that you too were once lost and captive, and that all souls are precious to me. Stop comparing your journey to the visible struggles of others. Your own spiritual foundation is built on grace alone. The ultimate trap is the refusal to be corrected. Pride makes you defensive, unwilling to accept constructive criticism or loving spiritual correction from those I have placed in your life to guide you. When I use a difficult person or an unpleasant circumstance to expose a flaw, your first reaction is self-justification, not humble surrender. This resistance creates an inherent spiritual blindness that prevents you from seeing your own heart clearly. You are so busy looking at the dust on others that you miss the beam in your own eye. I call you to immediate, radical humility. Tear down the high tower of your self-sufficiency. Acknowledge the absolute dependence of your existence on my sustaining power. Do not fear correction. Embrace it as the very evidence of my fierce, refining love for you. The correction of a father is meant to lift you higher, not tear you down. I demand you remember the great truth. The moment you think you stand, you must take heed lest you fall. Spiritual maturity is not marked by how high you climb, but by how deeply you bow. Cultivate a spirit of gratitude, seeing every breath, every victory, and every insight as an unmerited gift from my hand. Refuse the path of the haughty spirit, for the scripture is clear: pride precedes destruction, and a haughty spirit precedes a fall. I will lift you up only when you humble yourself completely beneath my mighty hand. Seek to serve, not to be served. Seek to uplift, not to critique. Seek to admit your weakness so my power can rush in and cover you completely. I am your only source of strength. Your true glory lies in reflecting my grace, not in asserting your own merit. Choose humility now and secure your position on the high ground of my favor. I am your king, and I command your surrender. Hush, my dearest one. We have navigated the deepest pitfalls: the pride, the curses, the refusal to obey. Your journey is too precious to halt at this summit of understanding. If you turn back now, you not only betray your own destiny, but you disappoint the fierce eternal love that is fighting for you. I am not asking you to listen for your sake alone. I am asking you to remain for the sake of the testimony you are destined to become. Refuse to make me a liar by abandoning the discipline I have shown you. I will not be denied your fullness. Press through this weariness. Your perseverance is the proof of your faith. Continue now. My beloved, you have just confronted the peril of pride, the subtle thief that demands you attribute all blessing to your own hand. But now I issue a new command of humility and action. You seek to escape the folly of self-reliance, and I tell you, true humility is an active sacrificial choice to pour your provision back into my eternal work. This message, which tears down the high towers of arrogance and rescues souls from their own worst mistakes, must be carried to the ends of the earth. You have received this living water. Now I command you to become the channel that ensures others drink deeply. This is your harvest field. Remember my word: give, and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Your support is the oil for the lamp that illuminates the dark paths of those trapped in error. Your abundance will multiply as you sow into my purpose. Act now. Click Super Thanks, join membership, or hit the PayPal link and partner in this harvest today. My beloved child, let us address the destructive potential of the tongue, the smallest yet most treacherous member of your body, the curse of gossip and slander. I see how easily you can be drawn into using your words, which were meant for worship and encouragement, as silent weapons to destroy the reputation and peace of others. This careless, reckless speech is a spiritual fire that contaminates everything it touches. You allow yourself to be drawn into conversations that sow discord and division, poisoning the environment within my body. You forget the solemn accountability you have for every single word you speak, treating information about others as casual entertainment or a means of temporary emotional validation. I command you to stop this spiritual negligence. Every idle word you speak will be brought into my light for judgment. The deception is that you find a fleeting false pleasure in the failings and missteps of others. When you pass on a rumor or share a story that elevates your status by diminishing someone else's, you commit the deep, painful sin of slander. This misuse of your authority and trust causes the swift destruction of the sacred bond of trust, in your relationships. Think of the damage you inflict, the quiet reputation ruined, the seed of doubt planted in the hearts of others, all because you failed to bridle your tongue. I call you to use your tongue for its highest purpose. The words you speak must be used for building up, for fervent encouragement, and for sharing the life-giving truth of my kingdom. Let your speech be seasoned with grace, always intended to uplift and restore, never to tear down or ridicule. When a scandalous story lands in your ear, you have a divine opportunity to stop the chain of venom. Refuse to be a carrier of poison. I command you to purify your vocabulary. Flee from the company of those who revel in negativity and criticism. Guard your conversations as diligently as you guard your most precious possessions. When you are tempted to speak critically of another, pause and ask yourself, is this true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the answer is anything but a resounding yes to all three, then seal your lips and speak no further. Embrace the discipline of silence and the power of intercession. Instead of gossiping about a struggle, pray for the soul enduring it. Instead of passing on a judgment, offer a word of fierce, authentic encouragement. I will honor your vigilance. I promise that as you cleanse your words, I will cleanse your heart, filling it with the deep well of compassion that reflects my own nature. Refuse to be drawn into this ancient curse. Declare your tongue an instrument of my spirit. I will strengthen your resolve and give you the wisdom to exit conversations that dishonor me. I am your judge and your advocate. Let your words align with my perfect love. Speak only what builds up and gives grace to the hearer, and I will establish your peace. My precious child, let us look squarely at the crippling habit that blocks true freedom, the denial of accountability. I see the human tendency to look anywhere but inward, to blame the harsh circumstances of life or the actions of other people for your own personal sin and failure. This self-deception is a heavy anchor that prevents your ship from sailing into the harbor of my grace. You refuse to confess your transgressions fully and honestly, offering vague acknowledgments rather than specific, heartfelt repentance. You hide your sin, minimizing its effect, foolishly believing that it remains a secret veiled from my all-seeing eye. I tell you, there is nothing in darkness that shall not be brought into the light. The moment you choose to conceal your failure, you begin to suffocate your own soul, delaying the necessary purifying work of my forgiveness and restoration. When you reject the need for loving confrontation and the gentle discipline offered by the community of faith, you isolate yourself, becoming vulnerable to the enemy's most sophisticated attacks. You commit the profound mistake of minimizing your wrongdoings, finding ways to explain away your harsh words, your quiet indulgences, or your compromises as unfortunate mistakes rather than outright rebellion. Stop offering me excuses. Offer me surrender. I call you to radical transparency. Face the truth of your actions without the protective shield of self-justification. Embrace the purifying pain of true confession, which precedes the profound joy of complete forgiveness. Do not fear the light. The light is where healing begins. I already know your failure. What I desire is your honest, humble admission, which is the key that unlocks the door to your freedom. Take responsibility for your choices. You must not allow yourself to be a spiritual passive victim, always pointing outward, blaming your upbringing, your spouse, your job, or your lack of time. You are an active agent of choice, and you must own the consequences of those choices. I will empower you to change, but you must first acknowledge the need for transformation within yourself. The most difficult step is the failure to reconcile. You must actively seek true forgiveness from those you have harmed, not merely whispering a prayer to me, but extending genuine, humble amends to the human beings affected by your selfishness or carelessness. This act of seeking reconciliation completes the circuit of spiritual healing. I command you to embrace this essential honesty. Tear down the flimsy curtain of self-deception and step into the clear light of my grace. I promise you complete forgiveness, absolute restoration, and a radical renewal of your peace. But it begins with your willingness to accept full accountability. I am your truth and your light. I will guide you out of the shadows of self-blame and into the profound freedom of a confessed and clean heart. Walk in the light as I am in the light. My cherished one, I see you attempting to shoulder the crushing weight of the world's battles on your own, a clear symptom of the dangerous mistake of poor fellowship. You are forsaking the powerful gathering together of my faithful, abandoning the vital source of mutual strength, encouragement, and accountability that I established for your protection. This isolation is not strength. It is a profound vulnerability. You are choosing friends who consistently draw you away from my established path. Relationships that celebrate your compromises, feed your ego, or tempt you back toward the very things I have delivered you from. These associations are subtle saboteurs of your destiny, and I command you to assess the company you keep. Do they lift you toward my light or pull you back toward the world's shadows? I command you to make a choice between comfortable compromise and life-giving communion. You neglect to share your life, your crushing burdens, and the sacred truths I have revealed to you with the trustworthy, faithful ones I have placed in your life. You attempt to fight the fierce spiritual battles of your life in absolute isolation, believing that admitting weakness is a failure. I tell you, vulnerability is the very ground where my power is displayed. When you refuse to share your struggles, you deny yourself the incredible comfort, the sharp correction, and the fierce prayer support found only in community. I call you back to the fold. Do not be a lone sheep. The wolf is always looking for the one separated from the flock. Re-engage with the community that is committed to my truth and your spiritual growth. Find a sacred space where you can lay down your guard and be held accountable with fierce, compassionate love. This is the divine safety net I have provided for your journey. The enemy's first and most effective tactic is always isolation. When you are alone, his lies sound loudest, his temptations appear strongest, and your resolve feels weakest. Break the chains of loneliness and step into the active, vibrant life of fellowship. I promise you this: the prayers of my saints are a shield of fire around your life. I command you to seek that protection now. I will empower your relationships. Cultivate friendships with those who speak life and truth, who sharpen your iron, and who refuse to let you settle for less than the fullness of your destiny. Be transparent. Be honest. Allow yourself to be loved and corrected. Your true strength is not found in your self-reliance, but in the unbreakable bond of a community anchored in my name. I am your unity. Find your strength in the fellowship I have provided. Walk together, my child, toward the victory. My precious child, let us address the fundamental error of the human spirit, the distortion of true worship. I see you often offering outward rituals, beautiful singing, and disciplined attendance at gatherings. Yet this performance is tragically divorced from a sincere inward heart surrender. This hypocrisy is a veil that obscures my face from you. You mistake worship for a performance, a matter of tradition, or a checklist of external obligations. You seek an emotional high, the rush of a powerful song, the inspiration of a stirring sermon, rather than my actual presence and the unyielding truth of my revelation. Worship is not a feeling. It is a profound act of devotion, a full-spectrum surrender of your entire being. Stop compartmentalizing your life. You cannot offer me 90 minutes of ritual on a designated day and then live the rest of your week in direct opposition to my will. True worship is a continuous living sacrifice. It is a life lived in my obedience, where your daily actions, the integrity of your business deals, the patience you show your family, and the honesty of your thoughts become the most profound and authentic expression of your devotion. I call you to re-examine the throne of your heart. What holds the highest priority in your life? Is it your career status, your children's success, your financial security? If any created thing consumes more of your time, attention, or anxiety than your communion with me, then that thing has become your idol, and your worship is distorted. I demand your entire life, not just a small piece of your scheduled time. Worship is in spirit and truth. It requires the full surrender of your mind, the unwavering commitment of your will, and the tender vulnerability of your heart. Break down the false idols you have erected, the relentless pursuit of perfection, the addiction to approval, the comfort of your habits. I will empower your sincerity. When you align your daily actions with the truth of your verbal praise, your worship becomes a fire, a pleasing aroma that fills my presence. Refuse to be satisfied with mere ritual. Go deeper. Seek my face with a desperate hunger that transcends the need for an emotional experience. I am not just the object of your praise, I am the reason for your existence. I invite you into the ultimate reality of constant communion. Live every moment in my presence, letting my grace and truth define your choices. I am your audience, your center, and your eternal reward. Let your entire life be a profound, beautiful, and consistent act of worship, and I will pour out my peace upon you like an endless river. Worship me in spirit and truth, and you will find life. My precious child, this warning is about the essence of my heart and the failure of many who claim my name, the neglect of justice and mercy. I see your careful adherence to ritual, but I also see where you turn a blind eye to the profound suffering of the poor, the marginalized, and the oppressed in your world. This selective obedience is a painful contradiction to my nature. You practice righteousness only when it is visible and convenient in the public square or within the confines of your familiar community. Yet you ignore the private, challenging demands of compassion. You focus solely on the outward structure of my law, the tithing, the traditions, the attendance, while ignoring the weightier matters of the heart: fierce justice, unwavering mercy, and radical love. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. I call you to a radical shift in vision. Stop seeing the world through the lens of your own comfort and convenience. When you encounter the broken, the struggling, and the marginalized, do you extend active, costly compassion, or do you simply offer a quick prayer and pass by? I desire mercy over sacrifice. The measure of your faith is not only in how you worship me, but in how you treat those who can offer you nothing in return. The greatest danger is the hypocrisy of demanding justice, but refusing to grant mercy. You demand that others be held accountable to the letter of the law, yet you forget the immense, undeserved mercy I extended to you when you were completely undeserving. Your faith is meaningless if it lacks this authentic living quality. Scripture tells you plainly, faith without corresponding action is dead. Your ritual is an empty echo without the accompanying force of active love. I command you to live a life of profound empathy. Do not allow the comfortable walls of your life to isolate you from the pain of your neighbor. Open your eyes and see the invisible struggles I am calling you to address. The loneliness of the elderly, the desperation of the unemployed, the quiet confusion of the seeking soul. Your hands were made to serve, to offer the act of love that is the visible, undeniable proof of my Spirit's work in your life. I will empower your compassion. I will guide your resources, your time, your money, your influence to places of profound need. Do not fear the cost. The spiritual reward for a life of selfless service is infinite and enduring. Embrace the challenge of extending mercy to those who have wronged you, for this is the highest, most difficult demonstration of my nature within you. I am your justice and your mercy. Go now and live a life that reflects both. Refuse to let your faith be dead. My child, you stand at the threshold of profound liberation. We have stripped away the idols, the legalism, and the hypocrisy. Do not let your heart grow weary because the truth is uncomfortable. The enemy's hope is that this one last truth will be the one you ignore. I have revealed my heart, my demand for justice, and my tenderness for mercy. To stop here is to deny the full expression of my nature in your life. I command your spirit, ignite with urgency. Your eternal reward is closer than you imagine. Do not let the temporary cost you the eternal crown. Listen closely, for the remaining words are the final armor for your soul. My precious child, let us expose the foundational error that undercuts every other spiritual truth, the insidious temptation of idolatry. This is not about bowing to carved statues. It is the subtle, powerful act of substituting any created thing for my absolute sovereignty, allowing a gift to take the place of the giver. I see you substituting money, career success, or professional titles for my constant, reliable provision. You look to your next bonus, your professional network, or your own relentless effort as the source of your security, giving these temporary things the primary devotion that belongs only to me. This is profound spiritual short-sightedness. You are making a servant into a master, and that master will ultimately demand more from you than it can ever return. Worse still, I see you making your children, your spouse, or your family an ultimate object of devotion, allowing these precious, beautiful gifts to become idols in your heart. You demand that they fulfill the needs that only my presence can satisfy, placing an unbearable, tragic burden on them and risking their spiritual health for your own emotional security. Love them fiercely, but worship me alone. They were never meant to be your God. You also allow technology, endless entertainment, and the pursuit of comfort to consume your most precious, non-renewable resource, your time. This habitual distraction becomes a subtle, quiet idol that chokes out your hunger for my presence and blocks the possibility of deep, meaningful communion. I demand the first fruits of your time and attention. I call you to a fierce internal cleansing. Identify the things you prize and serve above your Creator. Is it the approval of human opinion? Is it the certainty of your own philosophy? Is it the desperate need to control the outcome? Tear down these subtle altars. Acknowledge my absolute supremacy over all things created and uncreated. The slow, subtle turning away from me toward created things is the beginning of spiritual death. I will empower your devotion. When you intentionally displace the idol and put me back on the throne, your life immediately realigns. Your focus will clear, your anxiety over money will diminish, and your relationships will flourish under the freedom of a healthy, non-gripping love. Do not fear the removal of the idol. I will fill that void with my presence, which is infinitely more satisfying and secure. Refuse to allow any created thing, no matter how beautiful or essential, to take my place. I am your first love, your only king, and your eternal treasure. I demand your unwavering, exclusive loyalty. I am your sustainer. Let my provision be your confidence, and my love be your only worship. Come back to me now and dismantle the false gods in your heart. My beloved child, let us now examine a critical point of weakness: the failure to seek wisdom. I see you often acting impulsively, making major life decisions based on sudden emotion, fleeting worldly advice, or temporary convenience, without first consulting the unchanging eternal counsel of my word and my established wise counsel. This reliance on immediate impulse is an open invitation to regret. You are ignoring the profound lessons of history, the testament of the faithful who have gone before you, and tragically repeating the errors of those who neglected to seek me. You dangerously believe that worldly knowledge, the advice of human experts, the latest trend, or the loudest opinion somehow supersedes my divine, time-tested understanding. This is the folly of choosing human noise over divine truth. You are failing to consistently pray for discernment in complex decisions, rushing to a conclusion just to relieve the pressure of indecision. You allow the urgency of the moment to override the certainty of my Spirit's gentle guidance. Stop operating in the flesh. Engage the Spirit. I call you to the pursuit of eternal wisdom, which begins with a deep, reverent fear of my name. Prioritize the study of my word, treating it as the authoritative final source for every area of your life. Consult the counsel of the wise, those my Spirit has purified and appointed to speak truth into your life. Do not repeat the errors of the past simply because you are too rushed or too arrogant to pause and learn. I will empower your discernment. I promise to give wisdom generously to all who ask without doubting. Make a solemn commitment to choose the long-term eternal perspective over the short-term immediate gain. Seek me first, and all the clarity, strategy, and power you need will be added to your life. I am your wisdom. Lean on my counsel, and you will walk on sure, steady ground. My precious child, let us gently confront the stumbling block of legalism and the attempt to earn my infinite favor through finite human effort. I see you often attempting to achieve righteousness by imposing extra-biblical burdens, rigid rules, and impossible standards upon yourself and upon others. This frantic striving is in denial of the finished, perfect work of my Son. You are tragically losing sight of my boundless, overflowing grace and my sacrificial, unconditional love. You try to build a spiritual scoreboard, judging the hearts of others and mercilessly judging your own based on external appearance, ritualistic attendance, and adherence to self-imposed rules. This judgmentalism is an offense to the gospel of grace. I command you to stop striving and rest fully in the eternal cleansing work my Son accomplished on the cross. Refuse to confuse human tradition with my essential commandments of love, mercy, and justice. You are not saved by your performance. You are saved by my grace alone through faith. Embrace this truth and allow its freedom to saturate your soul. I will empower your rest. I invite you into the ultimate liberty, the freedom to love and serve me not out of the fear of failure, but out of the certainty of my acceptance. Stop judging others' hearts. That is my domain alone. Turn your critical eye inward and offer your own heart the same radical mercy I extend to you daily. I am your grace. Be defined by my love, not by your rules. My beloved one, I see the weariness in your soul, the profound exhaustion that whispers the temptation to give up, to quit the race. I know the opposition has become fierce, the setbacks feel overwhelming, and the path ahead seems impossibly long. But I must urge you with all my love. Do not allow a temporary setback to define the entirety of your eternal path. You are looking back longingly at the comforts and compromises you left behind, allowing the memory of ease to distract you from the immense value of your future reward. This is not the time for retreat. You are called to endure hardship as a faithful soldier of my Son. The tragic loss of eternal reward for a momentary, fleeting relief is the saddest surrender a soul can make. I command you to fix your eyes on the finish line. Do not be defined by your fall, but by your willingness to rise again. I am your strength. I will run with you when you are weak and carry you when you stumble. I promise you that if you persevere to the very end of your life's calling, the crown of life is absolutely reserved for you. I will honor your struggle. I will reward your faithfulness. I am your finisher. Run with endurance and claim the victory that is already yours. If this message has renewed your resolve, save this video post and share it with one person who needs to hear it. Don't let this moment die in silence. My precious child, this warning is about the sacred gift I purchased for you, the misuse of freedom. I see the deception that leads you to use Christian liberty as an excuse to indulge the flesh, the subtle, dangerous belief that grace provides a cover for sin. This hypocrisy turns my grace into a destructive license. You forget that true freedom is the power to willingly serve me, not to be a slave to your own appetites and desires. You focus excessively on your rights and neglect your profound responsibilities to love me and to love your neighbor. I demand that you discipline your body and keep your desires in check. You must not allow your conscience to become seared or indifferent to the subtle creep of sin. I call you to responsibility. Your freedom is not for self-indulgence. It is for service. Refuse to cause a weaker brother or sister to stumble by your choices. Let your liberty be a force for good, not a source of spiritual confusion. I will empower your self-control. Put off the old self and put on the new, allowing my spirit to define your conduct. I am your liberty. Live in the truth of your freedom and walk in the spirit, not the flesh. Look at the distance you have covered, my champion. You have walked through the fire of disobedience and faced the mirror of your own spirit. The end is in sight. If you allow fear or weariness to halt your steps now, you mock the strength I have poured into you since the beginning. I have given you my full, uncompromised counsel. Do not waste the sacred instruction. Your future generations are waiting for the breakthrough you secure in this very moment. I demand your endurance. Let your focus be unshakable. Finish this race with me, and secure your victory completely. My precious one, we have secured your freedom from the tyranny of the flesh, the great misuse of liberty. Now I ask, how will you wield this sacred liberty I have purchased for you? You have my word, and you know the fire of truth must not be confined. The very words that nourish your soul through these profound warnings must become the bread of life for those still starving in their isolation. Your support is the spiritual currency that empowers this river of truth to flow unhindered into the wilderness of the lost. When you give, you are not merely offering money, you are sowing a seed of faith that I will multiply 1,000-fold. I am calling you to become a partner in this glorious spiritual offensive against the mistakes of unbelief. Your faithful giving activates the promise, my word will not return to me void. It will accomplish that for which I sent it. Do not delay your divine appointment. Secure your eternal reward now. Become a champion of this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link below, and watch my favor fiercely protect all that you possess. My beloved one, let us now address the core perspective problem, the lack of spiritual vision. I see a mind that is constantly preoccupied only with the temporal, focusing solely on this brief earthly life, while dangerously neglecting the eternal, imperishable inheritance I have reserved for you. This limited perspective is a tragic blindness. You live without an active awareness of my imminent return, losing the fierce passion and profound urgency for sharing the good news with those who are lost and captive. You are ignoring the immense spiritual battles raging in the unseen realm, acting as though the only reality is what you can touch and see. I command you to lift your eyes. The stakes are eternal. I call you to an eternal mindset. Reclaim your focus and begin storing up treasures in my imperishable kingdom, prioritizing the things that last forever, souls, truth, and righteous acts. I will empower your vision. I demand you to live with anticipation, letting the certainty of my return define your daily conduct, your choices, and your priorities. I am your eternal hope. Live with the conviction of eternity, and you will walk in clarity and power. My precious child, let us address the most common spiritual error in the time of suffering, the error of misinterpreting trials. I see you blaming me unjustly for the pain and difficulty you endure, questioning my goodness and my perfect plan because life has not been easy. This bitterness is a spiritual wedge between us. You fail to recognize that trials are not random punishments, but profound opportunities for refining, for deepening your character, and for intense, accelerated growth. Do not allow bitterness to take root. Embrace patience, for patience is the evidence of a soul trusting its Creator. I tell you this truth. The trial is designed to bring you into a deeper, more intimate relationship with me. I command you to embrace the refining process. Refuse to question my goodness during difficulty. I promise you my grace is absolutely sufficient for every single weakness and every trial you face. I will turn your suffering into strength, your pain into profound wisdom, and your loss into eternal gain. I am your refiner. Trust the fire, for it is purifying, not consuming. My beloved one, let us confront the futility of human effort, the mistake of relying on the flesh. I see you attempting to achieve spiritual transformation and personal sanctification through your own willpower, sheer effort, and carnal strategies. This striving is an act of spiritual self-exhaustion. You cannot fight spiritual battles with carnal weapons, nor can you fix sin through willpower alone. You are consistently ignoring the subtle, constant guidance of my Holy Spirit in favor of your own human strategy, which leads inevitably to frustrating failure. You must constantly put off the old self and actively put on the new. I command you to walk in the Spirit. Surrender your control and cease trying to fix yourself. Lean entirely on the infinite power of my Spirit living within you, for He is the one who empowers true change. I am your sanctifier. Find your victory in my strength, not your own, and you will walk in freedom and constant renewal. My precious child, I must speak with urgency about the most corrosive spiritual failure, the sin of unforgiveness. I see you harboring deep resentment and clinging to bitterness against those who have trespassed against you. This refusal to release the debt is a profound blockage of your own communion with me. You forget the vast, impossible debt of sin I forgave you, an unpayable cost wiped clean by my Son's sacrifice. How can you, having received such immeasurable mercy, refuse to extend a small measure of that same pardon to a fellow servant? Unforgiveness is a spiritual prison you build around yourself. I command you to release the debt. Extend the mercy you have so freely received. I promise that as you forgive others, my forgiveness rushes to fill your own heart, cleansing the wound and restoring your peace. I am your mercy. Let your heart be a reflection of my pardon, and you will walk in the profound freedom of a soul unbound by bitterness. My most cherished one, look at your heart now in this moment of quiet, intense reckoning. I issue a final, urgent call. Remember your first love and repent. I have unveiled the long list of mistakes, the subtle failures and open rebellions, not to condemn you, but to secure your eternal victory. This is your blessed opportunity, a sacred moment to pause, examine your heart honestly before me, and choose repentance. I promise you this: there's a full, powerful restoration waiting for you. The zeal and the intimate devotion of your beginning have not been lost. They are merely dormant, waiting for you to turn and reclaim them. I command you now to do the first works. Go back to the place where you first found me, the simple devotion, the uncompromising obedience, the radical reliance on my name. I call you to walk in that obedience. Now I am your Alpha and your Omega. I am your beginning and your end. Hold fast to my promise, for the eternal reward is for those who overcome and endure to the very end of this race. I am your overcomer. Step into my victory and live in the unshakable certainty of my eternal love. Go and sin no more. Your time starts now. My child, you have shattered the chains of legalism and embraced the unconditional vastness of my grace. Now prove the reality of that freedom through your active, joyful participation in my mission. You know the tragic folly of those who try to earn salvation, but I invite you to sow from a heart overflowing with unmerited favor. This message, which frees souls from the crippling weight of performance and fear, must be delivered on wings of fire to those trapped in darkness. Your sacrifice is the oil that keeps the lamp of this message brightly burning for the weary. Remember my covenant. Test me in this, I command, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. I promise to bless your hands. If you're ready to partner, click Super Thanks, join membership, or use the PayPal link below. Sow now and watch God multiply it. My cherished one, I have unveiled the critical errors, the ancient deceptions that have hindered so many before you. And now my final command is not a request, but a declaration of war against the subtle mistakes of the past. I command you now, do not let this conviction be merely a fleeting whisper. Engage the eternal truth I have poured into your heart. Go directly to the comments below and declare your choice for the world to witness. Write this fierce personal vow. I hear you, God. I will not make the same mistake again. I choose correction, not compromise. Let your confession be the anchor of your future, securing your heart in my unwavering path. Seal your freedom now, my child.